Yeah.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Don't get caught up, cause the man gon' try it. Rolling up, set the gas on fire. Classified intel inside of my mental.
Oh, we live.
Rolling up, set the gas on fire. We rolling up, set the gas on fire.
Yeah.
Rolling up, set the gas on fire. Classified intel inside of my mental. Public figures getting exposed, selling their souls. Plenty women turning into hoes to get that rose. R&B legends pissing on babies taking clothes.
All that.
Playboy put a 10-year-old on the centerfold, trying to envision home, watching the system fold. Oracles in the zone, white saging and chicken bones. Queens say they love me cause I'm working state. Gutter why they whipping that organic shea butter. Representing for that one after the 8th number. Cause what they cannot do, they self they try to take from you. I'm carrying the torch for the elders who ain't slumber. Them same brothers who saved mothers and thanked others. I astro project you a picture painting my worth and circumnavigated
the room lady tonight.
Got so aggravated with churches and faking purses, became alert to the blatant mistaken matrix insertions. Forgive me if I'm bugging on wilding when you see me. Got a couple online personalities trying to be me, emasculating Black Nation.
We got the bro Kevin Wesley in the building tonight.
Who'd have thought they do it the Yeezy? Drop you like the Holy Ghost. Oh, that boy fast. Polaroids flash. Forward cars cash.
I see
Vibe
you.
got you leaning like a quarter half pass. Most people don't succeed because the support is half fast. Haters throwing stones. I keep a couple on me. Shun guided quartz water. Keep a aura glossy. My tribe form like Megatron. You better gone. We the vagabonds from Babylon. We on. Liar, liar. Pants on fire. Don't get caught up cause the man gon' try it. We rolling up, set the gas on fire. Classified intel inside of my mental.
Go ahead and smash that like button, family.
We rolling up, set the gas on fire.
Put that fire emoji in the background. Put that fire emoji in the bottom in the comments. Let's go.
The internet shifted the paradigm. The free-minded and intellectuals out of line. Black men shot down every time I fucking blink. Flip Michigan, baby, still ain't got nothing to drink. Trying to overcome, but we struggling finding ways. Couldn't even boycott Gucci for 90 days. Crying about minimum wage, dying for a raise. Instead of setting up businesses, brothers buying J's. Hoping for brighter days, but mama ain't trying to slave. So she hit the track, look how much better vagina made. My mind blown, just booked my flight, I'm flying home. Hit the mangles online, but at night they cry alone.
Woo, y'all on fire.
Dialect speak the Messiah tone. I need my roses now for the industry, find a clone. Eager to lead the people to reaching a higher zone. The earth spins, the cycles repeat inside the dome. Culture getting hot, look how quickly the fire grows. Apply blows to who I oppose, I suppose. Haters winning by a nose, wearing fly.
Make sure y'all share it in like 10 groups right now. Share it in 10 groups right now. We getting lit. We over 200 strong already. Let's go. Share it in 10 groups right now. We got the boy Kevin Wesley in the building. Stop playing. We rolling up.
The gas on fire. We rolling up, set the gas on fire.
You see it.
Rolling up, set the gas on fire. Classified intel inside of my mental.
Mind of the Elohim, call me a star.
Somebody said Kevin for president.
OD, kill him softly. No frequency, shake him off me. My
Let's go.
Leave my own nation could be costly. I'd rather set the standards that let the system remain me. I ain't going back. Plan A gotta work in plan B, which means I'm seeing this thing out.
Let's get into the 300. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
Let's break 300 real quick.
They got plans in place to get rid of me. I'm here to eradicate any.
I want you guys to share this. They can hear me, Jamal?
What's that?
They can hear me?
Oh, they can hear you.
Perfect, perfect. Yeah, I want you guys to share this, man. I want to be able to give Jamal his largest show yet. So we're trying to
Let's
get this
go,
thing
baby.
over 700 followers. So share it as much as you can. I'm 700 watchers or viewers. So
He said he want the record. We had 300 already. That's where we was at with Shaka Amos. What y'all trying to do? Let's
we
go.
want the record, y'all. Let's double that. We can double that.
That's he want the record.
We can double that.
Liar, liar, pants on fire. Don't get caught up, cause the man gon' try it. We rolling up, set the gas on fire. Classified intel inside of my mental.
Smash that like button. Smash that heart button. Smash that emoji. Let's go.
Gas on fire.
We getting ready to start. Once this song is over, we going in.
Classified intel inside of my mental.
Whoa. 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 Time's up. Time's up. Time's up. Oh man. I want to put all these comments in the feed, but I'm not. It's too many of y'all in here, man. This is crazy, crazy. We got Kevin Wesley in the mofo building. All right, so My brother, before we go in, let's make sure we get everybody's names out the way so everybody know who it is that they looking at. Right here on the feed, and we're gonna get to some of the things um that I already see people posting comments in the feed, questions. It's already lit. So I see you. My brother, Kevin Wesley.
Peace.
Peace. Peace. Welcome to the Tapping Podcast with Jamal Miller.
All right, so guys, like Jamal asked, I'll give you guys some names. Of course, if you're not familiar with me, if you're not, you better be. Kevin Wesley here. And to my left is going to be Jamie Tenay. To my right is Lacey LeBeau. All right. So we're going to have a great build. So try to keep those names intact. We don't mind if you mess up a little bit, but it's cool. You know, you're just getting familiar.
You said Jamie and
Lacey.
And Lacey. Jamie and Lacey. Okay. I'm bad with names, so you're gonna have to forgive me. Charge it to my head, not to my heart. All right. So, where do we begin? Where do we begin? It's been a minute. It's been a minute since y'all seen me and this brother at the same table. Y'all seen us at the gala in Dallas, Texas.
Absolutely.
Which was a remarkable event. I mean, you look way, way different than you did back then, a lot healthier. So congrats to you on that. First and foremost. First and foremost, if y'all don't know, you know, the things that Kevin Wesley has gone through, you know, when I met him in person, when I met him again in Dallas, I said, yo, you the hardest mofo I know, bro. Straight up. Straight up. I never seen anybody willingly do the process that you do. Why don't you go ahead and explain exactly what that was, what happened to you in the procedure that you had decided to take part in?
Sure. So my mother died when I was just a child. She died of stomach cancer. And so last year or the year before last, that was, my sister ended up dying of the same exact cancer. So me and my other siblings all went to the hospital to see if it was something in connection. And of course, we did have a gene anomaly that my mother had passed to us that made us more likely or more susceptible to getting this stomach cancer. My sister already had cancer. They couldn't find cancer in my stomach at the time. I had ulcers, so they gave me antibiotics and things of that nature to get rid of the ulcers. My niece ended up having cancer. When I went back to have my stomach removed because you couldn't see it through through the ulcers, they discovered I did have stomach cancer. I probably wouldn't have been here today if I had not gotten that done. But man, I went from around 230, 240. I was around 260, and I had went vegan, so I had lost a lot of weight, probably about 30, 40 pounds. But at this moment, I'm probably around 220, 230 maybe. And by the time I'm off bed rest, man, I'm 130 pounds. And that's when I see you again, Jamar, at the gala. Shouldn't have even been there, but right. I toughed it out just to be able to make it, just to be able to sit with the family. So, yeah, that was a real tough ride, man, having to build my body back up, sometimes not knowing if you're going to make it. Like every day was tough. I didn't know if I'd make it through each day. Still, sometimes it's rough on my body, but I have gotten a lot healthier, though. So I'm very thankful, very, very glad to stomp on the naysayers, man, because I was getting death wishes every single day. People saying, man, you're going to die. I wish you die. I'm glad you in this situation. And so when you're looking for encouragement from the outside and you go to your social media and all you're saying is, hey, yeah, you're going to die and you're going to burn in hell, you know, it's kind of discouraging, you know, but also hate is fuel. It kind of fuels you to kind of, you know, be able to wipe that smile off their face because they see you down, you know, but you know it's more to you than what they know. So, yeah, it's always great to rise like that phoenix from the ashes.
Right. I seen some of that, you know what I'm saying? Like I was peeping it. You know, how some of the Christians and those who supposed to have a certain walk, right? A certain type of, you know, class to themselves took that as an opportunity to come at you and flex their God. And you know, that's what really bugged me out. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it was just shameful. It was disgraceful when I was seeing people do that. and I just couldn't understand how anybody, no matter what walk of life, no matter what God you serving, why would you want to do that to anybody, um, on their way out of here? But in any case, if you figure that that's what's going to happen, why would you do that? It was just crazy.
And
And
I'm telling
but nonetheless, you came to the gala, and I was much appreciative of that because you didn't have to,
absolutely.
considering the condition that you were in. I mean, this brother couldn't even sip water. Like, that was just mind blowing to me. And I was just like, wow, like, he really made that truck down here. And, that's not the first time that you showed up to one of my events. You came to the Black Power Awards.
Absolutely.
Yeah, which was that was a task in itself, getting you in there. That was crazy.
Absolutely. Yeah, it was there. We pulled some stunts to get up in the Black
We did.
Power.
We did. We definitely did, like in New
Don't
York,
tell David
late night,
Banner.
sneaking in the club type shit. Yeah, straight up.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, but we was in there though. I came and
Right.
saw you again at another event you had in Atlanta, and then one time you were here in
Yeah.
Charlotte, and I was just breezing through, and I
Right.
stopped by and checked you out. So man, yeah, anytime you've been around, man, I've always tried to support you, man. I really love what you're doing.
That's a
I
fact.
love how you inspire the community, man. So absolutely, man. Anytime I'm close to you, bro, I'm gonna check you out.
That's a fact, bro. I appreciate that word.
Yes, sir.
Now you pulling up on the Tap In podcast. That's what's up.
Oh
That's what's up. I mean, so.
And you know what? Actually, guys, this is sort of by request, man. So I ended up calling Jamar a week or so ago, and recognizing that he's been through a lot of the things similar things I've been through with, building your platform, trying to reach the masses, and then being, drugged down and having rumors spread about you along the way, and then having to stop to deal with that type stuff, losing people along the way who you've once worked with. So I called the brother, and I'm like, man, we need to really have a conversation, build on and actually reach out to the leaders, anybody aspiring to be a leader, so they can understand what to expect. That there seems to be this expectation of leaders, and people can scream the expectation of leaders all they want, but there doesn't seem to be a real expectation of what we're needing from you guys. You know what I mean? And so it's really hard to fight for people that's trying to kill you. You know what I mean? Like literally trying to destroy you. While you're trying to save them, you know what I mean? It's counterproductive, and we watched many leaders be destroyed either by hearsay, rumors, gaslighting, or even murdered by people who were very close to them. You know what I mean? And so a lot of these leaders who's passed on, they left. They were gone before they had time to build wealth for their children and all, and the children still struggle. And we were just talking about how we can't allow this thing to continue, how we need to break that cycle. And that's kind of what led us up to this podcast today, right, Jamal?
Yeah, man. It was something that I definitely could relate to when he came to me with the topic. I was like, I think 2018 was the year that I had to do some recalibrating and shifting of the people around me, and really look at them and scrutinize their motives. And after years of not having to worry about that and only dealing with myself, and trying to grow myself, it was very awkward and very hard to deal with, because you're like, okay, so now I'm going into a whole new walk of life from Christianity and religion, and I still have those same challenges. So now is a different approach. Now I can't rely on my God to fix it. This is something that I'm going to have to do, and I think people take a lot of our leaders for granted, and those who are doing things for you for granted, especially when they're giving you knowledge and stuff like that. Because not for nothing, y'all saw the stuff that that I was doing. That's not stuff that you can just pull out of a hat. Like it took years and years of experience reading books, and then putting the words together and putting the pictures together so that you can help people to understand and how to break the bondage of religion and stuff like that. So when you have people that don't appreciate the work that you're putting out, or try to defamate your character because they disagree with whatever it is that you're doing at whatever important time, it's disheartening, and it almost makes you not want to do it anymore, like for real. And to extent, I've toned down some, not toned down, turned down what I'm willing to give, and the effort that I'm willing to give, because when you're a grown man with a family and you could be spending that time with your wife and kids, instead of combating somebody who doesn't want to hear it or has ulterior motives. There are many times where you just say, you know what, I'm good. I'm good on y'all. You know what I'm saying? So I definitely can relate to that. And what I will say is, what we're doing here, me and Kev, what a lot of people have to realize is y'all only getting the tip of the iceberg. Like, that's what y'all got to understand. You're only getting small pieces of us and who we are. If you know. And so the little bit of love that you getting, you should be happy with that, because there's a lot more if you're just getting this. If this is a small part, you could imagine how much love that we got in real life. And when you look at Kev's following, when you look at my following, when you see the people that surround us, if you see 10,000 people with love and you find one hater, that's what you found. You found one hater. You need to realize that and look at the numbers of the people that's around, because, not for nothing, it could just be your perspective. And I don't think that people take that into consideration, that maybe your perspective might be a little bit off. When you got 10 million people, if you, let's put it this way, if you bought you an Apple phone, right now, if you bought you an Apple phone and you go and you look at the reviews on Apple, you think you're going to find 10,000 people that's mad at Apple? I think you will. Absolutely. I think it'll be fairly easy. Why? Because you have millions of people that rock with Apple. Huh? Like, that don't make sense to you? So when you see a group, and a following that strong, you should really question yourself and your thought process, before you go and you attack somebody without all your information. And that's what's disheartening, is that most of the people don't even have all the information and they'll just run with it. The internet is undefeated.
Absolutely.
So, you know what I mean? What they don't know, they'll make up. So
absolutely they will.
Yeah.
And most of the time, Jamal, they're really just projecting. What's inside of them is what comes out, and they project it onto you. You know what I mean? So a lot of times people haven't done those inner workings. They don't know them. They don't know themselves. So when they see you, they see fractions of themselves. But the problem is they think it's you. You know what I mean? Like, I talk about this all the time. I get a lot of flack for my pictures and whatnot, and dudes will judge me based on how they see me, not how I am personally. You know what I mean?
Right.
And this goes on in every aspect of life. Every move you make, somebody's going to judge it based on how they were raised to see that move that you made. They don't know the mindset behind the moves that you make. They just forever throwing stones. Half the time have no idea what they're talking about. I'll watch it. I'll watch the tables be spinned and questions get thrown at you as if you've done nothing. Now, Jamal, you've witnessed my go through here. You saw me when I was 130 pounds. Again, like you said, you had that conversation with me where you was like, bro, you one of the toughest guys I know. For you to be able to come out here like looking like that, you can tell you don't feel good. We had that conversation. But you'll have people who still scream at me, what have you done for the community? What are you doing for the community? As if I can't catch a break for having to heal my body back for the last 2 years. You know what I mean? Like, I was just in the hospital last year, almost dying. I had to get another surgery, and waking up from bed rest or waking up from that surgery, when they had trouble actually waking me up. When I finally looked at the cameras or the comments, they were wishing I was dead again, man. I remember I actually made a short video where I stood up and pulled the cords out of my arm and the socks off my feet. You know how they plug those little those compression socks to your feet.
Yeah.
And I stood up, weak as crap, and I told him, man, like, no God can kill me. I'm gonna be here, for real, and I'm not gonna die repenting to some God I don't believe in. I'm just not gonna do it. If I die, hey, I go, but I'm not gonna go out like that. Like, you know what I mean? I'm gonna go like a champ. I told you it wasn't real. I still have no reason to believe in it, even if I may be breathing my last breath. You know what I mean? So, well, you got a lot of people in the world who saw that as courageous, because it's easy to run back to what you've been traumatized with early in life. You know what I mean? What you've been taught early in life when things don't start going your way. We do this a lot of times in religion. We always so used to applying all the good things that happen to God existing, all the bad things happening to God being upset with you. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've seen people walk away from religion and then just go through typical things that would normally be what you would call a bad day. And all of a sudden they're ready to run back to religion because they think that the bad day is due to them leaving religion. You know what I mean? So
that's a fact.
You could only imagine like being on your deathbed, you know, your brain wants to go back into that handicap. You know what I mean? Because you can't find solace anywhere else. And so there's a part of you that wants to just say, you know what, let me just in case. You know what I mean? So I said, I refuse to, man. Hey, I've been sitting here teaching on this thing for so long. I refuse, man, to let them see me fold and repent just because I'm sick. You know what I mean? Nah, bro. You know, but you know, even since that, like I said, I've gotten people who scream out at me, you know, hey, what have you done with the money? As if the money wasn't needed for my health, and as if they even donated a lot. While you are grateful to the people who have given, Jamal, I know firsthand, you can say, compared to the amount of people who you've touched, who you've impacted, as far as I'm talking about people who's responded to you via sending you messages, likes, comments, shares, whatever. The donations that you actually get to help you further your movement is like a grain of sand compared to the beach when it comes to just people reaching out to you, telling you how impactful you've been. Like, they'll tell you changed their life. They'll tell you they'll never be the same. Yeah. But they don't want to donate $1. Like, you know what I mean? And so there's a few people who do have the heart to give, but there's just a larger portion who just do not. And so I think from the outside looking in, their idea is that you're getting this overwhelming amount of donations, when in fact it's just not the case. You're doing the best with what you can get, and then you don't want to criticize because you are grateful for the few that gave, and so you just work with what you got. You know what I mean? So, and a lot of times it is discouraging to put all your heart and soul into something and not get that response from them. I spent, man, a long time trying to, you know, get the donations up to be able to purchase a building for many of us to be able to go to and congregate, converse, be social. But the monies were just not able to be raised, man. So you can try a lot, but people don't really understand how important they are to contribute to making this thing happen. And then when they don't, they scream at you and ask, why didn't it happen?
That's a fact. That's a fact. Is they don't realize the minimal effort that they've actually put in, and they kind of overestimate what they actually did. And then there's some of them that when they do give, they think that they own you now, where every move that you make, you know, needs to be about them.
As if they purchased stock in you, like
exactly. As if they purchased stock in you. It's weird. Yeah.
and what's amazing though, Jamar, is when you try and remind them, hey, why did you give to this? They'll tell you it's because they were already inspired. But then it's almost like they forget that, and they want something else for the donation. You know what I mean? It's almost like you pull up to the gas station, you pay for your gas, or you pump your gas, you go in and pay for it, and then you come out to pump again. Like, no, bro. Right. You've already pumped the gas. Like, you've already been fueled. The donation now, or what you're giving now, is because you've already received. You're saying now, hey, you inspired me. Let me give you this, and now let me tell you what to do with the rest of your life.
Right. So, okay, so just to give you a testament to that, right? So we already got people in the feed, right? And they're saying, I want to hear from the women. I want to hear from the women, right? I guess Kevin ain't enough, right? So, okay, that's fine. That's fine. Okay. You know what I'm saying? So let's hear from the ladies. Starting to your left.
Okay, it'll be Jamie.
Jamie. Let's hear from Jamie. So Jamie, were you around when Kevin was going through what he was going through? And if so, like, you know, what was your sentiments? What was going on during that time?
Yes, I was actually there at the hospital with him. Like, I witnessed the whole thing. I was there. Surgery was 8 hours. Took him 2 hours to wake him up. So it was a joke. I watched him in pain. I watched the tubes. I watched the feeding tube. Wow. I ordered the feeding tube medicine for him. And so, yes, I helped take care of him while he was recovering. I was there. I can attest to all of it. And I was there for him when he had to go to the next year, that next surgery where he almost died.
Wow.
So, yes, everything is true. Everything he speaks of is true.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense that you would be by his side considering you was there through all of that. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Anybody mad at that, you just an asshole, straight up. Straight up. You know what I mean? Get your life.
Absolutely.
All right. So how was that for you? Like seeing him in that condition though, because I know that's got to be hard. You know?
Oh yeah, it was devastating to see someone you care for, your best friend, in so much pain, and it's a life and death situation. Yeah, that flips your world upside down a little bit.
Yeah. Were there times where you were fearful that he wasn't going to make it out of this situation?
I wouldn't let my mind go that far.
Good.
I'm too positive. I had to
And
speak life.
And that's why you were. And that's come on now, talk about it. Man. Come on now.
Hey, listen, there were times where I didn't. There were many times where I didn't think I was coming back. I'm telling you.
Now, hold on now. For all you women in the feed that be popping shit, are you the type of woman when your man going through something like that to be that positive to the point where you can't even comment on a question that I just asked just now? But what negativity around my man when he going through something? Is that you? Is that Okay. All right, let's keep it moving now. The other sister. I'm not gonna say the other. What's your name? Lacey. All right. So Lacey, where were you during this time?
Honestly, I was an onlooker. I was someone who I was following his work. I was a big fan of his work. So I watched the lives and the content. So to me, it spoke a lot of power to me because for me being someone who would view myself as conscious, I thought it was very honorable to be a person that stood for something so major as leaving Christianity and didn't waver during that time of vulnerability. Because in a regular circumstance, like just on the street, you run into people who they're for the movement, they're conscious, and they're talking about our people and this and that and the third. But then when they get around their boss, they don't have nothing to say. You know, this person had a whole platform that he was standing on and went through the scare of his life and continued to push that agenda. And to me, that was the definition of standing for something and not falling for anything. So I was just like, you know, and you don't see that too often. So it was hard to not see the light in him during that time. So I think that was when I was just kind of like, you know, at some point I would like to meet this person because like he's dope, period.
So how did you guys meet, both of you? How did you meet both these women, Kev?
So of course I met Jamie when I was really, really young. We went to school together. Okay, so she is actually the mother of my children. We actually got married super duper young. And then we ended up separating about 5 or 6 years ago. And the relationship now is really new. I met Lacey through her work. She had already followed me. It's a funny story, man. She had been kind of manifesting me. She had been talking about me in her lives and telling her people how she wanted to meet me one day, and she's posting about me. I had no clue, you know, but I ended up seeing her post one day, and it was just a worded post. And I was thinking, wow, she is very intelligent. I read it, but you know how sometimes, Jamal, you see somebody type something out, you think, man, they probably stole that from somebody. They stole that rhetoric from somebody. Right. You know, so I saw the long post, and I was like, it's intriguing, but I don't know who she listened to. I don't know who she getting that from. And one day I saw her on live. I checked her out, and it was a very intriguing live, like just little thought talks like we do. She was a life coach already. And from there, I reached out to her, and she didn't even believe it was me. She thought that some person was using my page to try to, you know, talk to whatever catfisher.
I thought he was too big to still be running his own page. So to have somebody in my inbox talking about, I love your work, you're a real inspiration. I was like, back up, bro. I don't know who hired you, but take several seats. Not even interested. Not even close. Like, don't even come back to this DM. Keep it pushing. He's like, I'm for real. I said, sure you are. Kevin Wesley's in my inbox talking about he liked my work.
Whatever.
Right.
Exactly. I was like,
whatever.
Every y'all kind of hurt. I'm like, dang, man, I'm trying here.
Wow, that's dope, though. That's dope.
Yeah, it is, man. It really is.
So somebody asked. They said, "Are you still married to Jamie Rhonda Fleming?"
Absolutely, yeah, we are. We actually did not get a divorce. At the time, we were just looking at it like, I didn't even plan to get married again, or last thing on my mind. And you guys know how it is. Sometimes it's easier to manage things when you don't go get that paperwork. It's costly, and so we just had not done it yet. Now here we are, though. This flame is now rekindled, and now we got to figure this thing out. No, we are going to have a beautiful ceremony and all that necessary. Like a lot of people ask, do you have marriage certificates for both of your ladies? And actually, no, guys, that's illegal. But there are paperwork that you can sign to make sure that you're protected if something was to happen to either one of us. Because we are an entity, we are a business, we are a corporation. So we wanted to make sure that those things are done right. So not one person is winning here via paperwork. I always try to remove people from that idea, Jamal, because they always say, well, what about the marriage certificate? And I try to say, like, that's man-made, right? If we were on a deserted island, we could love each other like there was no tomorrow. And if tomorrow comes, we just repeat. And that is what marriage is, the merger of two souls, right? Especially when it becomes to creating anything, children or a business, a tribe, anything. That is the merger. That's the marriage right there. We've gotten tricked into thinking that if you don't have a government paperwork, then it's not legitimate. Or if one has a piece of government paperwork over the other one, then it's more legitimate than the other. It's not. Yeah. It's just not. We're trusting paperwork again here. I call us paper people because we're always holding paper in high regard, right? Somebody can show up
at your door. Like a college degree. Like some people feel like they're smarter because they have a college degree, or some people feel others that more, authentic because they have that paperwork that says that they're married.
Absolutely. Totally. Absolutely. Yeah. I tell people all the time, and we were doing brain surgeries long before we had doctorates, man.
Come on now.
I mean, you know what I mean? So we were doing these things long before we had that.
Talk about it. It's the truth.
Yeah.
It's the truth. I won't get into what I think to the very end, but we're gonna answer we're gonna see some of these people's comments on both sides of the ledger here. We have a brother Obi Ezigbo, who says, people think polygamy is about smashing multiple women. No, sir. It's way more complicated than that. You have to keep improving on yourself every day, mentally, physically, financially, emotionally, to be able to keep two queens around. It's not a child's play, kids. Would you agree with that statement?
I would agree 100%. Lacey and I was just doing a live earlier today. And we always have people who say, well, you just did this so you could have threesomes. You just did this so you could have all kind of wild, ridiculous sex. And I tell them it's actually less about sex than it is anything. It's more about intellect and building generational wealth and understanding that the person that you bring in alongside of you or in with you, hey, this is for the long haul. And you're going to focus on each other's souls and building, uplifting, healing each other. I mean, really, you're taking on a lot. It's so not about sex. You know what I mean? I believe if you think about it, and monogamy shouldn't even be about sex. You should be getting with someone who can help you further your life and grow. I think a lot of times, Jamal, we were raised wrong, man. We always looking for somebody with a fat ass, right? Mm-hmm. Women looking for somebody with a fat chick or something. You know what I mean? Something that's tangible. When really we should be looking for that internal being, right? That person who can actually come alongside of us and build us up and help us to transform into being better people. And that's something we all do for each other. We all empower each other. We have great conversations, great builds. And man, from day one, we were talking business. Day two, we were starting business, right? And we already have businesses now. So we're not playing around. Every single day we game plan as if we stepped into a corporation working for the white man. Like, honestly, every single day we have a game plan as to what we're going to do today to make money, right? To build. And I personally have never had two people around me to keep me so driven as I am now. So honestly, man, it really is a power move. It's like, when you're playing checkers and you put that extra checker on top, and now that king can jump all the way across the board.
Right.
That's what it feels like.
When the first time I was ever exposed to not to the notion of it, but somebody actually that was doing it, and for a significant amount of time was my brother Dwayne Jordan at the Black Power Awards when we met. Mm-hmm. And we had a conversation in reference to it. And he was the first one to shed light on the perspective behind it. Not that I personally have subscribed to it, but I understand it. I overstand it, especially from like what you just said, the business standpoint and building families. When it's done correctly and it's done righteously, it has a great effect on family and building infrastructure. I've seen it, and I have yet to see one that didn't.
Right.
I haven't seen many, but I have yet to see one that didn't. So now, some people do want to know, is this polygamous or polyamorous? So now this is getting deep here. So they want to know, um, when you're in bed, are you guys sleeping together in the same bed? Is there is just man and woman? Is it woman on woman too? How is this working out? People want to
All
know.
right, so we have a large place, and so sometimes we do sleep together. When I say sleep, I actually mean sleep. Okay. My ladies are completely heterosexual. I can tell you, man. So I laugh about this. I have 2 ladies, and I've never had a threesome in my entire life, like not once. So people think that.
All right, so so all y'all mad, all you haters that want to know where he putting his phallus. He just told you what's going on. All right, all right, all right.
It's on the up and up, and it's not just some like perverted stuff or promiscuous stuff. Rather, no, there's no threesomes going on, no menage a trois, none of that stuff. You know what I mean? But sometimes we do sleep together. I find that it helps for us to bring our vibrations in, get in tune. I like to say, I was talking about this today, Jamal. You know how you hug a tree or you ground to get your body back in tune with the earth. So we'll sleep together sometimes because it's very important to be in the same tune, the same frequency when you're meditating, and to keep that same common goal in mind. You know what I mean? So we do that often when I'm depressed. I sleep with them together, and it helps to lift me up. We're there for each other, but we have different rooms, man. So somebody may sleep upstairs, downstairs, in whatever room one night. We do different things. We just do whatever we want to do here.
I think, yeah. I mean, that's dope. I mean, it sounds pretty honest to me. Let me see that. Somebody's looking at the comments here, trying to address everybody's concerns in here. Um, Somebody said polygamy isn't right. It teaches little girls that sharing a man is absolutely fine. Evil lust. What do you say to that?
Can I answer that one?
You should.
Yeah, let's hear it.
It's a misconception that we share him. Jamie and I are 2 women that feel the same way as far as passion and trust towards the same man, but even the way we express that trust and that passion differ. We're 2 different women, so our needs, our wants, how we get those needs fulfilled, how we express fulfilling his needs differ. So there isn't anything that even intimacy that he repeats with Jamie and me. You see what I'm saying? She's her own person as well as I'm my own person. So she likes different foods. I like different foods. They do different things for fun. We do different things for fun. Then all 3 of us do something for fun together. So the idea that he's his same self with her as he is with me is not factual. She brings something different out of him that she gets to share what she brings out of him. And I do the same. So when me and him are together, our connection differs from their connection. We understand it and respect it, and that's just it.
Yeah, so that wouldn't be sharing. And considering that human beings, men can be multifaceted, you could do that. That's definitely something that a man could pull off at any given time. Some of y'all is in multiple relationships right now, and you don't even know it.
And Jamal, some of them know it. Some of them know it, Jamal. Some of them know it and just not ready to accept it. They know deep down.
Some of y'all in multiple relationships right now. And don't want to admit it. And I think that might be why you're so mad at Kevin.
Right, it might be.
It might be why you're so mad at somebody else is bad, because it just don't. I got a good question here. Jean Arish, she says, now what's my man thinks about a woman with 2 husbands?
I'll let them answer that.
That's how she feels.
Huh? I mean,
How you
if
feel
she
about that,
wants
baby?
2 husbands, go ahead.
Right, live your life.
Yes.
Sis. If that's what you after, if you find 2 men that will accommodate that one, why not? Like, I don't feel like that makes her any more sexually promiscuous than any other person.
Not at all.
You go out in the world, and I'm a very big advocate for you building the world you want to live in. We spend a lot of time being born and being birthed into this world, and our parents, our guardians, and all of us imprint onto us, and they draw onto this canvas. This is what your life should look like. You should get a wife. You should go to college. You should have kids. It should have a white picket fence. You should get a dog. You should be religious, you know, and do all of this. And then you're bound by these almost silent promises that this is who you're going to be as you go out into your life. But, you know, I was raised with those same perspectives as well. And I had this rebelliousness raging inside of me, like, who wants to go to church all the time? And I'm just like, and I don't, you know, and husband, like, that's all well and good, but what if I just want my time? You know, what if I just want space? And there was I continuously tried to fit my spirit into a box that it didn't fit in, because I was raised that I should grow in this box and become comfortable with it. When in reality, once I became an adult and left my nest, I was allowed to create my own box, if you will, or my own lifestyle, if you will. And there's so many people that never even, the light bulb doesn't go off. They're still living in the same box that they were planted in when they took their first breath.
Absolutely. They'll leave religion and then judge you by the paradigm they were given. So we'll call a woman a whore if she has multiple partners, but not a man. You know, he's just a player. He a pimp. You know what I mean? So It's like we got to leave all that stuff behind and let people live and let live. You know, you get one shot at life, man, that we can prove. And I feel like why impede on anybody else's happiness if they're not causing intrinsic harm to anyone else? What we have right now is agreed upon. You know, everybody in this is an adult consenting, and we want to live this life. And so it's amazing to me how we can be accepting of relationships that don't even produce life. You know what I mean? Whether that be homosexual relationships, whatever the case may be. But then when it comes to a relationship like this, women with gay friends will call me a pervert. You know what I mean? Like, and vice versa. So it's like, it's one of those things where it's hard to understand. You can accept someone else who lives by a different dynamic, but not us. And when you guys ask about multiple husbands and multiple wives and things of that nature, they're sister wives. So they're not intimate with one another. That same thing is possible with 2 males. Ladies, you actually don't have to be sleeping with both of those males to be in a union together. The business, right? The entity that you guys are building, a corporation, that is the union. And you can have a brother just like you can have a husband, right? And you don't have to sleep with that person. You know what I mean? So it's just about building that tribe. A lot of people look at this thing and they always think it's about sex. Everybody sleeping with everybody on some nasty stuff. Like, look, if you like that, if you are a female and you are bisexual and you get down like that, then hey, more power to you also. But this union is not built that way. I've never even made that request. I've never even made that a prerequisite, even in my mind while manifesting this thing. It was never about sex. This is about, like I say, generational wealth. I'm trying to build so much wealth it bleeds over into my children's lap, bro. Like, no joke. Getting money your new religion, right? I mean, we every day we used to wake up and go to churches to give away our money. We spend money on ridiculous things, and we don't really think about, you know, all of the time and energy we're wasting that could be used to build that castle, that could be used to build that legacy. But man, when you bring a few people in together with that one mindset and say every single day we're gonna pitch our tent closer to wealth, man, you can't fail like that. You can't fail like that, because the focus is not about you being nicer to her than me, right? Or you didn't do this right, or you didn't do this right. The focus is on, man, look, where are we going to grow this business at? Where are we going to get this bread, right? Because somebody has, at some point, we have to focus on those things. Man, we're in a bad way. And we keep talking about unity and how we need to spend money together. My thing is this. If we could start in the house spending money together and make our money circulate inside the home a couple of times before it leaves, now you're learning how to build unity. You're learning how to build a tribe. Then you can start doing this with households outside of yourself, and all of us begin to spend money together and try our best to make it circle through. Because see, look, Black Wall Street, we talk about Tulsa, Oklahoma, but we're not looking at we're looking at it from a standpoint of everybody lived on that block, and we're saying, hey, we should probably have to move to another location and do that again. But man, we got the internet. Most of our businesses are online now, not in storefronts, not brick and mortar. Right. So we don't actually have to technically live right close to each other to build another Black Wall Street. You see what I'm saying? Like, we just have to have commitment to each other and say, you know what, I'm going to buy that thing that you produce, Jamar, from you before I buy it from anywhere else. And if I have to go somewhere else, it's because you don't provide that service. Right. You know what I mean? And even in so, I'm still going to ask you, who should I go get that service from? And maybe they'll give you a commission for that thing. You know what I mean? And we just keep doing that. If nobody has black soap, okay, unfortunately, we have to reach outside of the tribe to buy black soap, right? But we need to figure out how we can create black soap within our own tribe. Yes. You know, to produce that, market it, but also purchase that from our own tribe and not outside. Yes. And I'm talking about, we do have to go outside to buy some things, don't get me wrong. Right. But like you growing food in your backyard, these things are making you guys less dependent. It's making you more independent and less dependent on your government. Man, people get in their cars every day, Jamal. They drive past fruit trees, gardens, just to go to work, to make money, to go buy fruit. You see what I'm saying? I keep saying this, bro. Even the squirrels smarter than us, bro. They don't get out and run past all the nuts to go get a job, to go buy nuts, bro. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, some kind of way we got to rise. And if we plant our own food, now we're eliminating our need for stores. I mean, we may have to go for some things, but we should be able to eliminate most of what we need from these stores. Because if the stores shut down today, man, all of us messed up. Like, honestly, except for people like yourself who already started those gardens, who can go out there and say, hey, look what Mother Nature has gave us today. And it's something about eating the food that you planted. You know, it's something about that. Not going and purchasing it from somewhere that is shipped somewhere. You don't know what was sprayed on it. You don't know what's in it. When you eating the food that you planted, there's a whole different gratitude, because it's not just your money that went into it. It's your labor, your love, your commitment, all that went into it, man.
It's a fact.
Yes, sir.
Somebody asked, how did the kids feel about it?
I'll let y'all answer. Or?
Jamie. No, I was about to say they're thrilled.
Jamie.
They're thrilled. They love Lacey. Oh my goodness, they talk Lacey's head off. I was like, Lacey, you good? She's like, I'm good. They love her. They love her.
Awesome. How many kids you have, Kev?
3.
You have 3.
You have 2 boys and a daughter.
2 boys and a girl. All right.
Yeah, my daughter's the oldest. She's 18. She's about to be 19. My sons are 14 and 13. Yep, and they accepted her in, and I mean, honestly, it's she came into it, of course, having to get familiar with the children, and before she could even get familiar, they was already loving on her. So it was tough for her. You could say they opened up before she did, because she's nervous.
I would say that because I initially, the process for us moving all under the same roof was fairly quick, because Kevin was just like, "This is what I want. We going full speed ahead," and then Jamie was right on board. So when we got introduced and we went to lunch and everything, the arrangement was we were going to go to lunch. Me and her were going to have a conversation. If everything went well, next lunch date was meeting the kids. But even during those conversations, she was like, our children, us, we, you know, so she was like already in that spirit. And I was just kind of like, I mean, we gonna sit and meet with the kids like 7 days. You don't think we need to do like 4, 5, 6, 7, 12, 20 dates before we, you know? And I was like, and then the oldest is a girl. I'm an oldest girl. I know how I feel about my daddy. So I was just kind of, I don't want to go head up with her. Like, if she's half as territorial as I am about my father, this gonna be a problem.
Right.
I don't think y'all should just throw me in there like that and then just leave me defenseless with the kids. They're like, you'll be fine. I was so nervous. I was like, oh my gosh, they're gonna hate me. They're like, you brought this woman in here. Yeah. And it was completely not what I expected. I probably would say less than a week after arriving, I had to go run back to my house to get some more of my things. And I stopped, you know, his middle son, Justice. I tried to wake him up to lock the door behind me, but he wouldn't wake up. So I ended up texting Jamie, like, don't forget to lock the door. So I come back and I'm talking to Justice and I'm just like, you know, yeah, I tried to wake you up. He said, oh, really? You woke me up to lock the door, but you didn't wake me up to say bye? I was like,
oh, yeah, you feel
huh? You know, I had to leave him with that. I went, took a shower, I ate, I was thinking. I came back, I said, you know what? I apologize. I said, honestly, I really didn't think it mattered that much that I said bye to you. He said, well, your family, you live here. Right. I was like, well, excuse the heck out of me. That's my boy. And I was like, he melted my soul with that. And I mean, and I knew that was the goal, but I was just like, I was really trying to take it slow with them. And he was there. He was the first one. Like, you family. And he's still to this day, you okay? Don't forget, you know, you family too, all the time. And that was everything to me. Like, I thought that was going to be the hardest part, but it was the easiest part.
My thing is, Nance wants to know if you want to have kids.
I flip-flop. I do want kids, and then sometimes I don't want kids. I'm just kind of, you know, I have my moments. I feel like it would be good to have at least just one, at least. But it's no time soon. I'll say that. I'm undecided. Every single day you ask me, I'll say something different. I'll say yes today. You ask me tomorrow, I'm like, no. I think 3 kids and a grandbaby in the house is enough. Thank you. I think I've had all that, you know, minor energy. It's fulfilled, thanks. But there are the times that I spend with the grandbaby that I realize, you know, you hit that baby fever. You're just like, oh.
Right.
So I think that might get me. And, you know, I'm getting, you know, I'm not no spring chicken. I'm getting up there to where, you know, family is asking now. So, so now that you settle down with fine Kevin Wesley, so when's the baby coming? I'm like, listen, we just started. What you mean? You know, so my sister-in-law is like, okay, so baby, about when? I'm thinking around this time next year. I said, you can't schedule my pregnancy. So I feel like everybody's rooting for it. So I think I get a lot of love and support, which is really what I need at the end of the day. And the kids and Jamie being here and Kev being here, I feel like it makes me feel more comfortable to have children, because I didn't really want any before, because I don't come from a very close-knit family. So that kind of worried me. That's why I don't have any already. So I think it'll probably, I'm almost positive it'll manifest itself sometime 1 or 2 years down the line, something like that.
What is somebody asked, what does your family think? For both of you guys. Well, I should say all 3 actually. Well, you guys are kind of already a family, so it's like, yeah.
Jeff, you want to go first?
I don't know. They're still in religion. We'll just leave it there.
Like your mother and your father. What do they think? Your parents.
We already know. Just say they're religious. So.
Okay. Enough said.
Yeah. I would say my family is not religious. They're just protective. Their thing is my family comes from a very unconventional type place. They're very open-minded and very, you know, so the ones that I thought were gonna flip was like, you happy? Cool. I was like, really?
That's interesting.
I was expecting, that was my father and my younger brother. I expected them to drill me. And tell me, you know, all the stuff you hear people say, you know, don't you feel like you deserve better? And don't you feel like you're losing something? I thought I was going to hear all of that energy coming from them, because I know they have a vision in their mind for what they want to see me have. Yeah. But they also know me well enough to know that I have a vision for what I want, and they know that I wouldn't stray from that. So they know good and well that if I'm in this type of dynamic, I'm getting what I need, because I will make sure of that. So they stood behind me.
Yeah, because you know, somebody just said family can be the most critical, and you're absolutely right, Angie Stevens. You know, it's important that you have that support system to some degree from some people in the family, because you know they try to sneak certain things in, especially when things, you know, aren't going the way that they should. Which brings me to another question. Have you guys had an argument? Like, what does that look like when you guys disagree? Have you guys had that disagreements where either the two wives disagree, or one disagree with Kev, one agrees, or y'all both disagree with Kev, or you know, like how does this work? Like, you know what I
We
mean?
haven't really had any situations like that.
Okay.
Jamie and I haven't had any
troubleshooting. What's troubleshooting look like?
What does troubleshooting look like? Now I can tell you now through disagreements with Jamie, of course, and knowing her in the past, and even with Lacey now, we actually are excellent communicators. It makes it really easy, even when the situation can seem heated or whatever. We're very emotionally intelligent. We're able to rationalize how we feel, with that not necessarily meaning what it is, and so we're able to talk to each other really and figure out what the problem is, man. So this is one of the things that really excites me about this union, is that we're all very emotionally intelligent, and we try our best not to do things like name call and you know, those things that are very toxic, that keeps arguments going. Like, we always want to make it clear that the goal of this conversation is to fix the problem, not to make it bigger, right? And the goal of this conversation is not to win an argument, but to have an understanding of each other, because we all have different backgrounds, different traumas we've been through, and we see the world differently. And so all that has to be accounted for, and it's best to get that out in the open before you even start conversing. You know what I mean? Because you don't want it to be a match, you know, where you're trying to prove a point, she's trying to prove a point, and when you're talking, she's not even listening. She's just coming up with her own response. And you really want to get to know each other at this moment. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the moments when you dial in and try your best not to come to blows where you're walking away from one another, because that's where the wedges get drawn. You know what I mean? It's all good when everything's hunky dory. You know, when you go through those little rumbles in the road, right? Those little potholes. You got to stop and figure that stuff out and try to make sure you don't come back to that place again. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing. But have we had a blow up to where we're all been in a place of arguing? No, we have not. I honestly think it's because we talk to each other before that ever happens. You know what I mean? We have a really good way about if myself and Jamie has a conversation about how we feel in a certain way. If it's about feeling insecure or anything like that, that conversation stays between us. You know what I mean? Same thing with Lacey. If we're having a conversation to those same type of topics, they stay between us. I'm not running back and forth saying, hey, Jamie, me and Lacey going through this, or hey, Lacey, me and Jamie going through this. Like, no, that's toxic. You know what I mean? We don't need that going on. And they don't do that on me. They don't go to each other and sit there and talk about me and find all the negative things about me and then come back with an attitude. And Jamal, we've seen this, man. You know how it can happen. You can walk into a room and two people stop talking. You know they was talking about you.
That's right? A fact. Get quiet.
You didn't get a word in edgewise to clear it up, and now they got you figured out because they gossiping is what they do.
They don't even have enough time to pick a new topic.
Right, absolutely. You can I just look. I say I'll come back when y'all finish. But I love that doesn't go on here.
Thank you, Jay Fry. He just said, "Can y'all talk to my wife for me?" He donated.
Hey, man, holla at me, bro. Holla at me, man. We actually, listen, myself and Lacey are life coaches, so we do that, man. A lot of men are coming to me asking me, you know, how did I go about it, and how did I manifest this for myself? So I am open and willing to talk to you guys about it, and kind of to talk to you guys about why you want it as well. So you may actually realize that it's not something you're into. You may actually be monogamous. In your natural self. So it's better to make sure you're doing something that vibrates with who you are. That way you're not putting yourself in a position that you're not going to succeed in. You know, you might find this to be too busy for you. It's a lot more effort than just having one person. It really is.
Sure. Denise Graham asked the question. You don't have to answer this if you want to. She said, does he support them only from donations?
Actually, no, I haven't received a donation in about over a year. I actually own my own businesses. I hate to say I own my business, rather I am my business. So I do of course, life coaching. I do speaking engagements. I have a clothing line. Okay, I have huge platforms that are monetized. So absolutely, I am my own corporation. I actually finance and fund us right now. I don't depend on my ladies for anything, right? So they actually came alongside of me, and they actually helped me to save, because now I'm not having to pay someone else. I pay them. So they are my business partners, and that money stays in house. It's a beautiful thing.
So if I'm gonna ask you two-part question. What is the most rewarding part of the relationship, and what is the hardest part of the relationship?
Wow. I would say for me, the most rewarding is having people who you know have your back. Like Jamal, I'm telling you, man, you know this as well as I do. Thank you very much, LeSean. Man, when you do this thing, man, and it can become so overwhelming because the amount of people that come along wanting access to you and your content, you can take on help from outsiders who you really don't know that well. You know what I mean? And those things can crumble really quickly when you start realizing who these people are, and it hurts your movement, it hurts your pockets. And it seems that every time this happens, it hurts your business in some way, it hurts your momentum in some way. So when you have someone that you can really trust and feel safe with, and I mean, I'm telling you, men and women alike, we look for safety. And we often just say this attribute is only women who look for safety. But men want to feel safe too. And women, if your man won't post you on Facebook, it's probably because you don't make him feel safe. I'm being real. Like, no, yeah, hit that bell, Jamal. Sometimes, man, we don't want to post a woman who we feel like everybody been in our inbox because we don't want to hear it. And we know guys, they love to talk shit. Then they'll show up in your inbox and say, look, shorty ain't really for you. Look, she sent me a heart eye emoji the other day, and here you are looking stupid because you don't posted a picture with your girl. Like, you know what I mean? So I love having two beautiful people who encourage me, empower me. And I know that if I make a mistake, they're going to be there to encourage me, man, and pick me up, not judge, point fingers, man. That, to me, that's one of the most positive things to having anybody in your life, is that they're people that if you give them your dreams, they're gonna empower you, bro. Like, think about people that you told Jamar, hey, I want to do this thing, I got this idea, and they got something negative to say. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I have two people who say, how can I help you achieve that thing? You know what I mean? So it's amazing to me. Before I do my negatives, I'll let them do their positives as well.
I would say my most rewarding is the companionship. It's like I was so used to, for so many years, just being, I guess, by myself, because I'm more of a loner, because I guess of all the negativity. I'm like very sensitive to that. And so it's like I'll stay to myself.
I get it.
And so now I got two people, just like you said, that I can trust. I have two best friends now that I live with, that I can talk to, that I can share things with. And so that's my rewarding.
That makes sense.
For me, I would say similar to Jamie, I spend a lot of time by myself, not like having a lot of family. So I would say for me, the most rewarding part of this dynamic is the family environment. Like, I really love getting up and hearing the kids joking and laughing. I like hearing the baby crying. Like, I like hearing, someone in the kitchen cooking, and it could be anybody. To me, it's for me personally, it's been a really long time since I've heard those like sounds that make up a home. Like, I've always had my apartment, always had all my stuff together and stuff like that. And for me, I'm very motivated and driven, but you don't really realize how much drive and motivation you have until you have that support system behind you of people that believe in you as well. And for me, that was, I guess, the piece that I was missing for to kind of light the fire for all of the drive. So that was definitely the most rewarding part for myself.
You have it. And if I could say the negative side, it's more, I think you have to put thought into both people, and not just myself. They're doing it as well, but let's just say simple things like going and getting yourself something to eat. We pretty much have about 3 different diets here, right?
Right.
I was vegan until recently, and I had to start eating some poultry, fish, and I do this to put some weight on myself because it was very hard to do it with vegetables. And the reason is because I can't eat a whole lot of it due to the fiber. Like
and vegetables is actually harder
than meat. Right.
Yeah, that would hurt your stomach even more. That's a fact.
Right, man. It took me forever to break down and start back eating it, man. Eating poultry and stuff because I kicked it, And once you do it, you kind of get driven to stay on that. You know what I mean? So the doctors are telling me, listen, man, you're gonna have to start eating some poultry, some meats, and I didn't want to do it, but I did. Jamie's still 100% vegan. Lacey here is poultry or not poultry. She don't eat no poultry. What's wrong with me?
Pescatarian.
Pescatarian. But you know, anyway.
Shame.
Keep it up. No, you know. I wasn't gonna say that. I was just playing. But no. Thank you very much for the it's good stuff. Thank you very much, C4D explosive. Okay, it's whatever.
I was gonna say my diet actually toggles back and forth between Jamie's and his. Because I don't eat dairy, I don't eat any form of meat, but I do eat fish. When I don't engage in eating seafood, I eat like a vegan. So I've kind of customized my own specific diet. I'm not 100% pescatarian, but that's the closest one that I'm to, if that makes sense.
So like if we go to like a nice
who's the cook? Who's cooking all of these meals? How's this working?
I'm the cook in the house. You know, I've been chefing it up since I was like 13 or 14. So I showed them a lot of my recipes. Like they already can cook though, but I don't think they'll argue that I'm the chef in the house. You know what I mean? So okay, cool. I got skills, Jamal. I can cook anything. You know. So.
And really good.
I gotta level up. I gotta get better.
I'm gonna move aside and be like, Kim, you gonna cook today? We both looking at him
like, kids too. They be like, Daddy's cooking, yay! I love it, man. It's an art. I love to fix food and stuff and make my lady smile, make my children smile. So that's always been something I've loved to do. So yes,
Candace Davis wants to know what the kids eat.
Oh, the kids are vegan. The children are vegan. My daughter, she changed her diet up just a little bit here to accommodate shrimp or crustaceans, as she called them. But other than that, my children are vegan. Awesome. Oh, but I was going to say, like when we go to like different restaurants and stuff, if we go to like a place that serves myself and Lacey, then Jamie's left often picking off the menu, just picking from sides, you know. So that's one of the more complicated things about being in this type of union is you always want to make sure the other person's accommodated for it and they're happy and not just, you know, willing to pick off the menu so you guys can eat somewhere. So imagine Uber Eats, man. I got to order from one place, okay?
Yeah,
close that out when it's on the way. Order from a whole nother because ain't nobody got nothing for all of us.
Yeah,
that could get crazy.
That'll make you want to leave this whole thing alone.
That could get crazy. So Kev, when did you realize that this was the lifestyle for you, and how did you go about speaking to I would say it'd be Jamie first? How did you go about that? Like, what was that conversation like?
Well, no, man. Actually, I spoke to Lacey about it first. Lacey and I were dating, and me and Jamie actually we had separated 5 years ago. But I was dating, man. I was looking for poly. I wasn't sure if I was going to do poly or monogamy. I did discuss this with the women that I was dating, but then I came to a realization, okay, and it was a really hard one, okay. Things just started looking real bad for me. People looking at me like I was a bad guy for dating, and I wanted to date, man. And listen, I had been on bed rest for so many months, and hadn't had any intimacy, right? Haven't had any courting, and that's things I love to do. So I wanted to take my time and date and not settle so quickly, right? And so I'm dating, and I realized that I can't date, not with my celebrity, not with my platform. You know, you think that when you meet someone and you tell them, hey, day one, hey, look, this is what I'm looking for, and they agree to it, then everything's okay. But really, man, when you're a powerful person, you really got to think about this stuff. When you're talking, you're just saying things that's in your head. But when she hears them, she's actually becoming infatuated with your words and you. You know what I mean? So there's something totally different going on in her being. Whenever you talking, Jamal, you get this a lot, I'm sure, with women and men alike. They become kind of like charmed by you. You know what I mean? Your words, your wisdom. And they want to follow you, and men will feel like you're a leader to them. Women will feel like they're in love. You know what I mean? So I broke a lot of hearts trying to do this dating thing. And so when I realized that I did affect a lot of people in that way, I had to settle down, man, and say, you know what? I can't be out here dating like that. And when this whole thing happened, I really just asked myself, man, who do I really care about? Who do I love? Who could I spend the rest of my life with and pour into? Because it becomes really hard to commit if you don't see a person as someone that you can really spend your life with. You know what I mean? You don't want it to be just some momentary feeling, you know. So of course I went to Lacey and I saw her as somebody I could spend the rest of my life with. She never kicked me when I was down. She always uplifted me, and I needed that in my life. And so I went to her and I asked her, you know, hey, would you consider polygamy? I know we talked about it before. I hadn't mentioned it in a little while, but would you consider it? And Jamie here, she's always talked about it, really. Even though we weren't together, I would hear her talk about her interest in it, you know. And many women that I discussed polygamy with, they would always be like, I would do polygamy, but not if it's your wife. You know, I ain't trying to compete. She got your kids, you know, you know her better. I don't want to feel like I'm number two to nobody and stuff like that.
That's understandable. Yeah, I can see why. Yeah.
Right. And so I went to Lacey, man. This is how powerful Lacey is, right?
Right.
I go to Lacey and I'm talking to her about monogamy, and I can remember, like, I feel like she's sitting on the floor right in front of me. She has this thing where she sits beneath you and look in your eyes. It's like you smelling a flower. But she's talking to me, right? And I'm talking to her about polygamy and or polyamory, and she goes, "I'll only do it if it's with Jamie, if it's your wife." And she was like, "I've looked at her Facebook and stuff like that. I've looked at her pictures. She's a beautiful lady. She's got it going on, you know, and things like that." And it hit me, ironically, Jamie's like down for that. You know what I mean? So she's somebody who's already my life partner, man. She's been my best friend since the day we met, really, you know, had my back. Even Jamal, think about this now. So I have this thing where I say, I liken it to Jesus when he's going through and he sees the bush, right?
Right.
With the fig tree, right?
Right.
And the Bible says that the fig tree is out of season, right? So it shouldn't even have fruit, right? But Jesus is hungry, and because the fig tree doesn't have fruit, even though it's out of season, he curses it, right? And causes it to wither, right? Yeah. So I have this thing where I'll say, look, she'll love you while you're with her, but if you leave her, she'll make your ass wither, right? You know what I mean? So, listen, man, I went through a cancer scare even then. Actually, believe it or not, male breast cancer 4 or 5 years ago, and it made me really rethink myself and my marriage. And I ended up leaving it. I told Jamie I wasn't happy in the marriage and I needed to leave it. She let me go, and without a fight. Honestly, it wasn't like she was like, I'm gonna do this to you if you leave. She said, I understand. If you don't want to be here, I cannot hold you here. But she never took a friendship from me. You know what I mean? And we would the children would come with me for a while, go back with her for a while, stay close just so we could be able to do this. And she has had my back, man. I mean, just like she would if she were a wife still. Like she's never not been there for me. And the same thing with her. You know, and I would have women I would date that would be intimidated by her because they'd say, man, you always look out for her. And I said, and I'm always going to. Like, it doesn't matter that she has my children. It doesn't matter that we got a piece of paperwork between us that says you're legally married. Like, I got this woman's back. You know what I mean? In life, you have very few people that's going to have your back like that. You know what I mean? So it works perfect, man. I love these ladies with everything in me. So why not spend your life pouring into those ladies instead of putting your attention and energy everywhere else? You know what I mean?
Right.
And on the flip side, ironically, because I do have love for the mother of my children, it works better because if I go and I have a poly union outside of my marriage, now my children are still outside of my home. You know what I mean? My children and the things that they may need is still an expense that sits outside of my home. And if you say you're going to build a tribe, you probably should start with your children and the mother of your children. If you can't keep that relationship healthy, you probably shouldn't be considering going out and creating multiple tribes. You need to figure out what's going, especially if she's single and she's in a place to where she's interested. You know what I mean? Like if you can't make that thing healthy, you probably shouldn't go anywhere trying to make a whole bunch of other stuff healthy because she know you. She know your ass. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And that was my logic behind it too, is that I knew what the intentions were as far as the build and everything. And that's something that I wanted to do as well. And I'm a family-oriented person. So my thing is focus on the children and cover the children. So to me, it was pointless to be in a poly relationship with just a random woman, you know, when he has 3 children that, you know, their hearts break when he's getting ready to leave and drive home. You know, I'm always, you know, I'm going to visit him. Like, when's the last time you seen your kids? You know, he's always been a while. And in my mind, I'm thinking to myself, like, it's too long of a gap. Like, you know, I will always drive out to seem like, okay, so how do you feel about me picking them up and bringing them with me? We can make this a whole joint trip, you know. So for me, it was just it was almost a no-brainer. If you're going to, because regardless of what type of dynamic relationship you're going to be in, if he or she has children and you're going to be in a relationship with this person, you're going to deal with the mother or father of those children regardless. So if you're going to be in a poly relationship, in addition to that, why would you bring in another person and all their baggage when you can bring that relationship in a little closer, bring the kids in a little closer, unify everything? These kids get to wake up and see their dad every day. He gets to wake up and see his children every day. Jamie's not in a situation to where she's doing it with three kids by herself any longer. And then I get to, in a sense, be the catalyst for all of that coming together. To me, it was just like, why wouldn't I do that? It doesn't make any sense. Like, if I'm going to do it, it needs to be a significant reason other than the fact that I love you and I want to be with you. It has to be a higher purpose for that. And for me, the kids was it. Like, the kids were it. Just knowing that they're the long time of 5 years going from not being able to see their dad whenever they wanted and waking up to him being in the same house every day was done. Like, that made me feel really good to be able to be a part of that and know that it's going to be much better and a better experience and a more loving environment and all of that stuff moving forward. To me, it was just it didn't make sense not to.
Right. So, question. Someone asked, will there be a third? Is that a possibility? Is that a hell no? Or y'all?
No.
Is that a no or a hell no?
No, hell no.
Is it hell no?
We just listen. We can leave the formalities and the polite pleasantries. Hell no. No.
Listen. I have had a ton of women asking me to be a third.
I'm sure your inbox is crazy, man.
I'm honestly not interested, man. I'm so happy where I am. I wouldn't have the energy, man, to pour into another female the way I do these two. You know what I mean? Right. I don't have it in me, so I know what I'm capable of, and this is where it stops, right?
That's crazy. So, 5 years from now, where are you guys? Where's the Rise family?
Oh my goodness, man!
In a built home,
absolutely.
In a built home from the ground up. Possibly more little people, and multiple streams of income, businesses. Not just for Kev, but Jamie and her own businesses, myself and my own businesses. A really elaborate garden.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
And no more grocery shopping. For we wanna grow everything.
And by that time, we will have shown a lot of people in the world, man, how to become less dependent on the government. Right, in the matrix for your survival. You know what I mean? If you purchasing something, it's because you want to purchase it. But those things that we're having to, work tooth and nail for just to be able to buy, when that stuff should be, we could pick that stuff off the tree, dig it up out of the dirt ourselves, and put that on our tables. You know, we could hunt ourselves, even if you eat meat. I want us to 5 years from now have a more understanding on really what that looks like, man, because we look back at our ancestors or even our grandparents, recent grandparents, and we think we're smarter than them because we can read a little faster. But man, they know how to preserve. They know what medicine is, even when it's not coming from CVS. You know, they know what herbs are. You know what I mean? Where we're used to pharmaceuticals as being medicine, so we are not smarter than our grandparents. You know what I mean? So I want to go back and get that wisdom, that knowledge, that enlightenment that we had before technology, computers and books and Western colonization, and bring that to now. You know what I mean? Because there's so much more we could be doing. Just even in, like we were talking about this, the potato plant, how much nutrients and things are in the potato, and why we're not planting potatoes, it just blows my mind. You know what I mean? We can have so many different, dishes out of those potatoes, but yet we still go buy a bag of potatoes, and it's like, I get it, but it eliminates certain things. First thing I'm going to stop buying is potatoes. I'm going to chop these potatoes in 4, plant those that grows 4. It's amazing how that works. I'm going to plant these seeds over here, like you, Jamal. I saw you picking out what was it, eggplants the other day out of your garden. I mean, isn't that beautiful to be able to eliminate that need to go to the grocery store just to be able to eat? When you can walk to your backyard and know, hey, I was back here, I planted these seeds, I watered them, I came out here and kept the weeds from around them. I did all those things to make sure that we got this meal. And when you sit down at that table, man, it's so much giving thanks to yourself just for having the know-how, the willpower to go out there and get it. Because I tell people, planting a garden look fun. Even when you get that rake and that hoe, that mallet, and you start digging, it look fun. To about 15 minutes in, your shoulder's about to burn off.
Feeling it.
And then you got to get up tomorrow, go do it again. And it becomes work. And you realize it's a sacrifice, and you earned that harvest. You know what I mean? So, and it's like that translates over into actual life. So we try to look at, while we're talking about a garden and planting natural seeds, actual tangible seeds in a tangible garden, there's a garden out here that we all neglect, and that's that garden of self. You know what I mean? Pointing to yourself, those goals that you have. Some of us don't have the resources to be able to make those goals happen. But if you start focusing on how you want your next relationship to be, if you're single, you can go into it with a person who has the resources to help you achieve those goals. And I'm not just talking about monetarily. I'm talking about sometimes they have the positive energy to help you manifest.
That's right.
The encouragement to keep you going. Some of our biggest problems is people just don't believe in you. Right. And so that slows you down and it kills your momentum because you're one of those people who need validation. If you need validation, you need to put people around you who's going to validate you. It seemed pretty simple to me. But for some people, this is hard to grasp. They'll keep people around them, Jamal, who have no interest in seeing them move forward. And I'm talking about show them this every chance they get.
Yes.
Criticize them every chance that you know this person don't have your back.
Yes.
And yet you got them with you everywhere you go, like they don't have your back.
Crazy.
And they say something every chance they get. Yeah. And you still trying to hang around them like, come on, man.
Somebody asked, will there be a book?
Absolutely. We are actually working on a book right now. It's a 3-part book. It's all of our sides into how we became poly, what our lives looked like before then, why we considered it, how we ended up in it. And then we're going to follow that up a year from now with another book, being a year in poly. So a lot of you guys that don't know this is our first poly relationship, every one of our first one. So we do want to be able to give you guys information on how it's looking for us, the complications that we go through, right, the hurdles that we have to jump over. We want to give you that again after a year. So make sure you get this first book, and then make sure you get the one a year from now. And of course, I'm working on my book too. It's called It's All in Your Head. I look forward to having that done this year.
Somebody just asked, how do you guys figure out when and how Kevin spends time with each of you? You did mention alone time, I think earlier, and how so how do you, it's 24 hours in a day, 8 of them you probably sleeping. How are you mixing that up?
Well, right now we have a little schedule where we switch up days. So we just take turns with days. And that just means that they take turns on who sleeps with me, right? In terms of the night. But we spend time together throughout the day. Tomorrow, myself and Jamie are going on a really beautiful, elegant date. She don't really know what we're going to do. It's my little surprise, And then Lacey and I will be going somewhere the next day. But we split that up. So it's one of those things where we know when the time's going to be spent, and then the other person has something that they're going to do, whether that be focus on the business, focus on themselves, and empower themselves. And this is another thing that happens in monogamy family. You're not going to be around your partner all the time. And then when you're not, now you don't know what to do with yourself. So you sit there just being bored when you should be using that time to grow yourself, to work on your soul. Like, you should never forget about yourself and your own endeavors. You could find yourself even in a monogamous relationship and you're off doing something, and here your spouse is mad at you because you're not there, or projecting onto you because you're not there, when really your spouse could be pouring into themselves. You can never forget yourself. And actually, we need that time to ourselves to be able to grow. You can't just spend it all up under the person that you're with. That's why a lot of times, Jamal, when relationships don't work out, people be so mad because they don't progress in the relationships. You just had a boyfriend for 5 years.
Right.
You didn't have it. You didn't move. You didn't do anything new. You can't say this person taught you anything. You can't say you taught them anything. You can't say you got anything new from this relationship. You didn't learn no skill.
Nothing.
No nothing. And it's like y'all was just having sex. So y'all relationship was about sex. And here you are criticizing me about being about sex. Well, we're about that business.
Right. Came into it.
Right.
And I was gonna say, even though we alternate in a situation where, say, like it's my date night or it's Jamie's date night, or she'll be upstairs, I'll be downstairs, or the reverse. Jamie and I look at it as, when it's our night to be downstairs, this is my me time. This is my zen. I'm getting ready to meditate, get on this laptop. I get to take care of this. I get to watch all my favorite shows.
Right.
So we like the same shows, so we binge watch the shows, and you know, we keep it up with who made it how far in this particular show. Right. So it's not a punishment. It's not like, you know, oh, she gets to be upstairs, so somehow she's better than me or anything of that nature. When the other one's downstairs, you get to really just relax. And that's the part that I think a lot of women won't admit to, that being in a relationship, whether it's monogamous or otherwise, consistently catering to the needs of another person can be very taxing. And you need time to replenish yourself. So that every other day, let's say schedule, is really a time to refill your cup. And it's much needed. So to him, he get me 100% every time. He get her 100% every time. He don't really catch us on it having a bad way because of that other night schedule. When we feeling some type of way, we can't wait for that night downstairs to just kind of regather ourselves, write in our notebook, do whatever we need to do to really collect ourselves, so we're not running on fumes when we're needed. So I think that's what is a benefit for us in that respect, and we don't look at it as, you know, one person has something that the other person doesn't have. Like, I look forward to being with him just as much as I look forward to my time.
That's right. So I agree.
You gotta love your solitude, because it's there when you evolve, man.
That's right.
Yeah. Does Lacey smoke herbs as well?
Oh, I knew somebody was gonna get.
Oh my goodness.
None of your business.
I knew somebody was gonna ask. Okay, so the answer is yes, but I never smoke on camera or anything like that, because I'm still very new. I'm still a lightweight. I just barely started this year, so it's not a regular thing for me. And I don't know. I'm still trying to decide if this is me or not, if that makes sense. So I dabble, but y'all ain't gonna never see it.
Right.
Yeah, for all y'all out there that think y'all gonna pass in the blunt, she only smoke
I only smoke with Kev. And that was my first commitment. I was like, I'm only gonna smoke when I'm smoking with you, or I'm smoking with Jamie. Like, I don't smoke with nobody. So everybody's experience is I do not smoke.
That's a good way to be. You know what I'm saying? Because you know, you're staying ritualistic with it. You know,
oh yeah, definitely.
That's dope. Let me see. Phyllis, let's see if you want to address this one. Phyllis says, Kevin, did your higher power tell you to do this, or is this your choice?
Wow. Now, what I like to call my higher power, okay, is my higher self, right? My future self, as I call it, when I meditate, I talk to that person who knows more than I know, right?
Oh, hold on. We gotta go full screen on this one.
I feel that I'm guided 100% by my higher self. I always consult my inner me before making decisions to make sure it's not something that my lower self is wanting to be involved in. And so many times we have to recognize that we have different facets of ourselves, a spiritual self, a natural self, and they're going to want different things. You know what I mean? Just based on your biology, your body's going to want certain things, be attracted to certain things. And you have to ask yourself, is that a good spiritual move for yourself? So I put a lot of thought and meditation into this move, because, man, you're talking about introducing a woman who to your children, and your children has never once met another woman, period. So I'm saying, me and Jamie spent 12 years in this marriage before we separated. And for the 5 or 6 years that we've been separated, we haven't introduced a single person to our children for that reason. We wanted to make sure that if we do that, it's not somebody who's just going to be leaving outside of your life a year or so later. and now your children likely miss them because they've made an impact on them, or it was so bad that they negatively affected your children. You know, so Lacey talks about how quickly the process was to her meeting the children, but it's because I knew who I was dealing with. Well, my children have never met another woman. I've dated women for several months, 12 months, 24 months, and they have never met my children. Okay. And so it's because I wasn't sure about them, you know, so I needed to make sure this was the right move. So yeah, I had to consult my higher self or my higher power. Absolutely.
When Mordecai wants to know, when is the best time to let someone know you're interested in a poly relationship?
The very first day. The very first day.
Immediately.
The very first day. You should be asking the person that you're courting or that you're seeing out. And number one, don't even go to the date with the hope that it manifests into a sensual or intimate relationship. Go into it just to meet another soul. See what this person knows. See where they're going in life. See what endeavors they want out of life. But you also want to see where they stand as far as what type of dynamic they want. And be upfront about what you want, because you're not losing anything. It's the first date. If they're not into it, okay, they're not into it. Think about it, guys. If this is something, and ladies, if this is something that you guys are wanting to manifest, all it takes is two people. It's billions of people on this planet. It takes two people that's interested in what you're interested in. But you gotta be honest. You can't be springing this stuff up later on. And when you do it, don't do it in a joking way. Actually be sincere and know what you're talking about, because there are a lot of people out here who can see the value in this type of dynamic. Okay, so yeah, just make sure you're being open and upfront and honest from the beginning, like you should be doing regardless. You know, period. You should always be open with whoever you're dealing with and what you're wanting from them from that encounter.
And make sure you've accepted that in yourself, because a lot of times people are having conversations about what they want in a relationship when you haven't even made that peace within yourself that you're ready to commit to what you say you want. Absolutely. A lot of times people are just kind of like, I want a man to do this, I want a woman to do this, she needs to have, he needs to have, but are you ready for the reciprocity that entails to maintain that type of treatment? You can't tell people you want to be in a poly relationship and you don't know how to take care of yourself yet.
And also don't do it just because you like that person. You don't want to lose that person. You have to want this.
Right.
Absolutely.
Find a reason to do it for yourself.
That's right.
Don't do it for anyone else, no matter. And I think a lot of women do it to keep their significant other. And that's not going to get you anywhere. You know, you have to find somewhere that it fulfills for yourself. You can't do it because it's going to fulfill him or it's going to make him happy or you think it's going to make him stay. You'll end up heartbroken without a doubt. It's not a matter of if, it's when.
Yeah.
Cesar Path says, what made them decide to go public with this relationship? That's a good question, because, you know, I'm sure Kevin Wesley is no stranger to criticism and knowing, you know, that people going to come out the woodworks with something to say. So what made you, you know, you could have not told nobody and just stayed, you know, private, which many people do. So what made you want to go public?
It was very important to me that this next stage of my life, I wanted to do it with my family, and not just my queens, but my children as well. Man, I have been putting people around me just because they were empowered by me from many different cities and states on Facebook and putting them close to me, man. And it didn't turn out really well. You know what I mean? So I wanted to change that up. I said, you know, instead of dispersing myself amongst folk who I really don't know that well, I want to do that with my family, like my tribe. You know what I mean? So yeah, going public was something that I really wanted to do because I felt like it gives me the platform to be able to do that, to be able to show. A lot of fathers always say, man, how is it that your relationship and your bond with your children is so strong? You know, I want to be able to show them. You know what I mean? It is a lot to it because you do get a lot of criticism, but at the same time, you are able to connect with a lot of people in a lot of ways and help a whole lot more than just sitting on. Jamal, you know this, man. Like the way you kind of come out, they will put you in that box and kind of keep you there. So I came out as the ex-pastor, and they kept me there for a long time. And so every time I go live, every time I make a video, it needed to be about religion, as if there's nothing else to me. You know what I mean? And then when I started talking about religion less, then all of a sudden I was a sellout. And it's like, look, I have hundreds of videos. My content is still waking people up from religion to this day. Okay, let me evolve, let me grow. Maybe there's something else that I can talk about, you know. And so that going public gave me that opportunity to be able to say, hey, this is something new. This is something new, a new challenge for me. They can watch me grow, hopefully, through it. And hopefully we'll be able to watch them grow and be able to put this thing, because it's a whole lot of relationships that's like this, and they are afraid to go public simply because of the criticism. So, hey, man, I'm no stranger to it. And I do well under pressure. You know what I mean? So I talked to my queens about it, said, hey, what do you guys think about it? There's benefits to it. Okay, we could increase our platforms, increase our businesses, and go from there. There will be criticism, so expect it. There will be people who say some of the meanest stuff. You know what I mean? So just expect it. And we saw all of that taking place. We saw the businesses grow, but we've also saw the criticism. And we're okay with that. We know that people are criticizing from a point of projection, right? So we're okay with that. We believe that more positive will come from us going public than not.
I was gonna say, in addition to that, is I'm more of a better out than in type person, and this lifestyle, not just poly, but just life in general, we've built this standard where you're supposed to advertise the good things in your life and not advertise what you go through. You have parents and grandparents who have maintained 30, 40, 60-year relationships, but nobody really knows how you maintained it and what growth you had to go through from point A to point B. And those are the pieces of information that we need. People are walking around thinking that relationships are fairy tales and you never have a fallout for that same reason, because they never see the reality in what's going on. And people are like, why are you telling your business? Why are you telling your business? And it makes you ask the question, what exactly are a bunch of strangers going to do with my business to my relationship that I would have to destroy it myself for it to fall apart? But because you're taught not to disclose, to keep it to yourself, to suffer in silence, people are depressed and on medication and a bunch of other stuff, and their own families and significant others wouldn't know nothing about it, because everything is about don't tell nobody. Keep it to yourself. Don't do that. Don't do this. And
that's right.
Help could be right next door if you just open your mouth and say, this is where I am. So to me, it was important to do, because I know for a fact that the relationship will spark conversation that's going to lead into other conversations. And me being a life coach and wanting to help people, I knew they would ask a lot about poly, but now it's leading to, oh, I have problems with my mom. Oh, I have problems with my dad. Oh, I got this trauma from way back when. How do I rebuild myself? People are starting to ask questions about healing and trauma and stuff like that. I knew that this relationship was going to be a catalyst for something much bigger than that, and to start people talking about something bigger than poly life. And that was important to me, because we're lacking information because nobody's talking.
Nobody's talking. That's right. That's a major point that you just brought up. It actually leads into the next question. And listen, guys, if you guys have questions, definitely put it in the feed. As long as it's respectful, we'll ask. I'm not holding nothing back here, so we're gonna ask the questions if they're respectful. Tazar Path said, "What fixed the relationship between you and Jamie? A lot of the people remember you recently having negative comments about the marriage. So what helped to fix that diaspora?"
Okay, so as far as negative comments about our marriage, we never had a relationship to where we didn't treat each other the absolute best that we could treat each other. Our issue mainly was just coming to a relationship so young, before either one of us were prepared to do it, not understanding what it was, and then me feeling forced the entire marriage because I was in Christianity. It was shortly after the marriage that I realized I didn't want to do that, and my pastor would just make me feel like I was going to hell if I did get a divorce or walk away from that relationship. And he would tell me my children's life would be horrible and ruined if I walked away. So he had this fear around me that made me feel like I had to stay in this thing. So that's really the only discrepancies I had from the relationship. Jamie has never treated me in any negative way. In fact, I felt bad. I felt bad that I didn't feel the type of love that I thought I should feel. And coming from a person who did not have a mother, did not have a grandmother or any woman in his life, I didn't know what love was. I had my own projection on what I thought love was. So I had this fantasy in my mind of what I thought love was. And when I wasn't experiencing that fantasy, I felt like I was married to the wrong person, so to speak, right? And so whenever I went through a moment where I was suffering in my body, and it made me question my life, kind of, right? I said I don't want to be in a relationship to where I'm not happy. When I expressed to her that I wasn't happy in that relationship, and she did not put up a fight as far as to make it punish me if I stayed, that's when I really got to see who she was. So throughout my life, these last few years, and even here recently, seeing her come to my aid and empower me when I'm down, something clicked inside of me, and that love that I thought I never would have, it sparked in me. You know what I mean? So I used to always ask myself, and even God, when I thought he existed in that way, in the Christian way, why can't I love this woman the way she loves me, or love this woman the way she deserves to be loved? Because she's always been so amazing. It was never her, right? It was always me. But like I said, here recently, it's like something happened, man. We were on the phone, man. She was just empowering me and encouraging me, and I'm talking about so much so I actually began to cry. And that you know how we say I love you, but I'm not in love with you. When you hearing that sounds kind of hard. You're like, what does that mean? Either you love me or you don't, right? That in love feeling sparked right there. I never felt that before. You know what I'm saying? So it became a whole new thing. That's why when I tell people now that mine and Jamie's relationship is so new, it's like she's got a totally different person on her hands now. A person who looks at her differently than I ever have, right? When I kiss her, it's differently than I ever have, right? And this is, I mean, from even when we were married, you know what I mean? Because I actually genuinely want to do these things now, you know what I mean? So it's like, it was organic for once, you know what I mean? So it's very powerful. I couldn't be happier.
Tay wants to know what Jamie's perspective is on that same question. I don't know if you guys noticed, but Jamie's definitely the introvert in this situation.
Yes, I am.
I don't know why people in the comments haven't figured that out yet. They're like, "Oh my God, she's not happy." I'm like, "Nah, bro, she's just an introvert." Like you guys,
They've been saying that since
probably
the
single.
beginning. Like
They're probably single. Okay, you haven't figured that out yet. Read energy.
Right.
All right,
thank
Jamie.
you. Appreciate you for that.
Yeah, you can answer that one, Jamie. Go ahead.
Okay, but yeah, first of all, I am very happy just to set the record straight. And yeah, I'm an introvert. They're the speakers. I'm more behind the scenes. But just like Kevin was saying, we did get married very young, and we got married to because we had a daughter. It was like my mom was keeping, she had her thumb on me, because that's who was my provider. And so, but like, it's like sort of she was keeping him from being the dad that he wanted to be. And so with my young self, we was like, hey, let's go get married. Then can't nobody tell us anything. And there wasn't any like you said, in love feelings. It was hey, it's us against the world type of thing. And so that's how things happen. And then, as the years went by, started realizing this isn't that fairy tale that these people that, like we said earlier, that these people are telling us about. I'm not feeling the feelings that I should be feeling like they have on television. I'm worn out. I'm tired. This is not what I signed up for. So eventually we separated. And so that's why I was like, you want to be free, be free. Because I guess on the inside, probably I was feeling the same way. And that's probably why that fight wasn't put up. So I was like, we need to step back and rethink this thing. Because we jumped in it wrong. So, but now here we are. Now we can live our happily ever after.
Absolutely.
Good. Another question. Is Jamie a Christian? If not, what's your outlook on spirituality?
Oh my goodness, I am not a Christian. And as far as spirituality, I would say I'm more of a going in type of person. I go within instead of looking without for my source.
That would be spirituality.
Yes.
Thanks. They want to know, how would you feel if your daughter, Kev, decided to take this route and be a sister wife?
If my daughter was happy being in a polyamorous relationship, I would support my daughter through it 100%. I would hope that she would come to me for advice and my experiences on it as well, so I can help them in whatever way that I could. Many people ask me that question, and I think that thought is that I would be somehow upset by that. But I wouldn't live a life that I would frown on my children for living that same life. I don't think I'm doing anything wrong here. You know what I mean? So that paradigm comes when you say, hey, I find something wrong with it. So how would you feel if your children found something wrong with it? Number one, I don't live vicariously through my children. You know what I mean? I know that my children are going to get grown and they're going to do whatever they want to do, man. You know what I mean? So you can hope to raise them right. You can hope to be there as much as you can, but don't allow yourself to be tore up because your children don't take a certain path or choose a certain relationship dynamic that you'd like for them to choose, man. Your children are adults just like you one day, and they have their rights to life just like you. And you shouldn't say, because I gave birth to you, you should be this way or you should be that way. No, it's just not the way to be. Like Lacey now, they tell her, hey, you need to run back home to your parents. They don't realize Lacey is 33 years old.
Wow.
4 years on Lacey.
They think I've been taking advantage of by these OGs out here. I was brainwashed because Kev got that wordplay. I don't know what's happening to me. I'm just like, oh my gosh, like goodness, I couldn't possibly be able to see with my own eyes.
There's been a lot of I won't say a lot. There's a few public figures, who have been out there and in polygamous relationships, and they've muddied the waters, I would say, to make to what it looks like. So I can understand why people would be having that perspective in this day and time, just because of what they've seen in the future. I mean, like, you guys are new to this; it's fresh for you guys, and they haven't seen you in this light. So people really don't know what it looks like other than what they've seen thus far. Phyllis said, Kevin, sounds like you got some bitterness towards the church. How do you feel about the church?
Well, the church, the way I look at the church as a whole is there are some positives, most definitely, to the church. There's positives to most religions out here, whether that be the mosque, the synagogue, right, or the temple. It's just that what's being taught, if you are believing it to be fact, then you should just do your research. But I can see a lot of positives in church, community building, fellowship. That's one of the things I actually miss. So believe me, I would never try to tell another person how to seek their higher power. If you believe in God and Jesus, then God and Jesus is true to you. You know what I mean? I can tell you right now, while I no longer stand in submission to that literature or anything of that nature, there was a time where it did uplift me. You know what I mean? Where I could be down and I could read a scripture or two and feel empowered by it. So I would never take that from any literary book that people hold in high regard to be written from a God. That if you read them, they do have positive things in them. They do have negative things in them. The church has very positive things about it and very negative things about it. The truth be told, because people are involved. We all have positive aspects to us and negative aspects to us. You know what I mean? So often more times than not, what happens is if someone is not a church goer, many people project onto you that you are bitter about the church. I'm not bitter at all. I actually miss my church folk. Some of my greatest and happiest days were spent in church, man. You know what I mean? So I have no problem at all with the church. In that way,
Okay, Ibram has a fairly strong comment. I want to hear you respond to this. Only the Muslim religion accepts 4 wives with justice, and Kevin is not a Muslim, but he only takes from the religion what fits him, and that's a shady dude.
Okay, so I don't have multiple ladies due to Islam, the Quran, the Bible, the Torah, the Bhagavad Gita, the Vishnu, the Vedas. None of these books. I live my life based on the way Kevin wants to live his life. You know what I mean? So I didn't take that from any religion, but the lifestyle that I choose. Believe me, guys, these type of lifestyles existed long before religion. You just got to go do your research, family. You do realize that we existed and relationship existed long before we even had the printing press, right? Jamal can tell you, you know, you have religion and then you have real life where religion copies real life. It's not the other way around. You know what I mean? So you just got to go back.
Okay. This is wild. Okay. He has been manipulating and dominating Jamie since her tender age. Now he has brought home a new toy. Parrot. The new younger one will soon find herself a higher star.
Wow.
And that's what I mean by projecting.
That's something for all three. Let's start with Jamie. How you feel about that, Jamie?
I don't feel like I've been manipulated at all. I have my own mind. I mean, I'm sorry. He is a great guy. He's always been a great guy from day one. I mean, manipulation, I'm trying to figure out how. Please, how? How was I manipulated? Please.
How, right?
I would say for myself, yes, Kev reached out to me, but in a lot of ways I pursued him. So I'm not sure where the confusion is, because we had a lot of conversations and I'm not a naive woman, you know, so everything's been open and transparent. Even when it comes to, you know, Jamie, I knew about Jamie. He never lied to me and told me that this wasn't what it was or tried to disguise it as something else or anything of that nature. Manipulation implies dishonesty and some form of deception. And one thing that I do know about someone who is a quote unquote mass manipulator is they can't maintain their consistency. That is not true of this man. So I don't understand where the idea is that we have to have been taken advantage of in order to willingly have done this. We can't just be two women that saw the beauty in it and wanted to be a part of something beautiful. So I guess that person will have to ask themselves, why see the hideousness in something before the beauty? And what's triggering inside of you that you would go negative before positive? That's right.
It's like drawing that spot on a piece of paper, you know, it's like or that little dot on the wall, and all of a sudden now all you see is that dot and you forget there's a whole wall around it. You focused on that one negative thing. And it's crazy because you don't like how it looks, we just automatically assume that manipulation must have been involved because someone else likes how it looks, right? If you say, hey, if someone asked me, if someone suggested to me or invited me to be in a relationship like that, hey, I would say no. So now your assumption is that anyone else who did accept that invite is manipulated. You're projecting. Everyone doesn't think like you. Everyone doesn't have your mindset. Some people would love to do that very thing that you would be grossed out for doing. You know what I mean? So you just got to think, man, people think differently than you and stop projecting.
And each one of us can leave.
That's
you know, there is no consequence. You know, they can go back to being separated. I can go back to where I used to live. Of course, we probably would be devastated. We would be hurt, and we would miss this. But there are no locks or chains on the doors. We're not going to be sued if we leave. We're not being manipulated and held against our will. Like, there isn't any dark secret that I don't want Kevin to tell, so I have to stay in this. Otherwise, he's going to release it to the public. You know, it's just, there's nothing like that. It's 100% choice, just as much so as if one of us woke up today or two of us woke up one day and was just like, I don't want to do this anymore. We probably would have a long conversation about it. And we would have some decisions to make, but that's all it would be, is a conversation.
Yeah, people change their minds in monogamous relationships. You know, you guys can be madly in love today, and a week or two from now, you guys may not be, your hearts may not be into it as much. So that breakdown can happen in any dynamic family.
Ramona Harrell has a good statement / question. With empire building being one of the goals of a poly family, how would the finances work from an inheritance perspective? She said she has a friend who was a child from the fourth wife, and she expresses negatively about that element of polyfamily, the order as far as inheritance goes. Have you guys looked that far into the future as far as how the inheritance go?
You mean as far as things that we're leaving?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Behind,
things that would
or
have to
things
be
that we
passed down.
ourselves?
Yeah, like which wife would somebody would have to take priority, I guess, right? Or like how does that work as far as who would be in control of finances, assets? Like is one person in control of the finances while the other one takes care of the kids? Is it equally spread? How would that work out?
Right now we all do it all. If I imagine if something was to happen to me, they would take over my platforms and keep them monetized and give you guys content. And if you guys watch that content, it would stay monetized and they would be able to live off of what I have already built. You know what I mean? So it's not a thing to where it say, hey, you're going to get this percentage, you're going to get that percentage, because honestly, we don't even have that yet. We have to create something to be able to leave an inheritance to our children. Right now, this is the beginning of something great. We're still stacking the bricks up, so it's too early to worry about who's going to get the building. You know what I'm saying? If something happens right now, we're worried about how much are we going to bring to the table to make sure this thing is even built to be able to leave something. And I think a lot of times we get too far ahead of it. You know what I mean? Who's going to get it after you die? And it kind of becomes like you have to question your motivation. You know, I say this, man. Planting a tree that you won't get to stand in the shade of, that's true love. You know, planting a tree that you won't be able to pick the fruit from, that is true love. You know what I mean? So that's how we look at this thing. If we're gonna build this thing with all of our might, and hopefully our children who come along after us, they will reap these benefits. So our inheritance goes to our offspring. You know what I mean? So we don't want to do this thing so we can just spend a life of lavish ourselves, soaking up all the income for our own things that we enjoy. We want to always make sure we're building things and creating things that actually accrue revenue. We want to buy properties. You know, we want to have Airbnbs. You want to do everything that we can to accrue wealth. You know what I mean? So like I said, make getting money your new religion.
And then it has to be kept in mind that coming from Jamie, and of course she can, let me know if I've missed anything. They are, in a sense, bound legally by a document, let's say, and that would entitle her to, let's say, assets in the event of something happening to Kevin. It is his desire that, we're going to go ahead and, let's say, pursue possibly a ceremony or wherever we go to next. But once that is achieved, at that point, myself and Kevin went into that same contract, not by government standards, but it's his wish to make sure I have that same access if something happens to him. And then Jamie and myself, we are sister wives. So she doesn't have the desire to dominate me. That's right. I don't have the desire to dominate her. So if anything, let's say anything happens, Kevin's in the hospital or whatever the situation is, even in this situation right now, where technically she's legally, has more pull than me, recognized by the government, me and her will still have a conversation as to what we're going to say to the doctor as to what needs to be done for Kevin. She wouldn't exclude me from that. And that's where I feel like the public are, the weight for us into those documents aren't like everybody else viewing them. You know what I mean? To them too, they have history, but to them, that document is just a piece of paper. You know what I mean? To myself, because of how I'm treated coming from Kevin, because of how I'm treated from Jamie, I'm able to recognize that same logic that is just a piece of paper. So eventually we'll get to a point to where documents wise, I will be able to, I guess, refer to a document to say, this is what I have access to for, let's say, myself and any children that I may have. And that's something that's Kev's responsibility to make sure I am covered. But in his absence, me and Jamie are still a team, right. So we would still have the same conversations that we had without him here. And he takes trips, he goes places, and we have to get stuff done at home. We don't walk by each other and she's walking around like, I'm the wife, so you need to. Honestly, with the relationship that we've built with each other, I hear the word marriage and wife more from Facebook than I do within this house.
That's crazy.
We're that much they don't rub that in my face. They don't make me feel like I have less pull. They don't make me feel like, you know what I mean? Like it's that much of a piece of paper to them that that's not a regular conversation in this house. That question comes to us a lot, but we don't have that conversation every day. We never really had the conversation, honestly. So everything that we're going to do, whether he's the one that's not here or Jamie's not here, I'm the one that's not here, the teamwork is still going to supersede anything else.
That's right.
Absolutely.
A couple people on here. Hold on. There was a point where you said that you had pursued Kevin.
Yes.
And I don't know, a couple of people felt like Jamie might not have known. Did you know Jamie? I think you referenced you guys weren't together, right?
That's right.
Right.
So it wouldn't matter.
For 5 years.
Yeah,
So it won't matter. Y'all gotta pay attention. Come on the feed earlier. You know what I mean? Come on the feed when we start. We already answered that. Do the women have sex with other men outside of Kevin?
No.
Well, we both frowned our face up. Like that's not even a thing.
Okay. We got a lot of people saying they support the movement. You know, a couple people still going left with it seems. I'm trying to answer all y'all questions. If y'all got more questions, put them in the feed because we put them all out today. And
while we
here, they ain't stuttering. They ain't stuttering. Huh?
We're gonna answer 2 more.
Make them good. Make them count.
We got places to be.
Make them good and make them count.
Y'all better chill.
2 more questions, guys.
2 more questions. Let's go.
Pick 2 good ones.
Somebody said, is that by choice though, ladies?
Said, huh?
Is that by choice that you're not dealing with other men?
Yes.
Facts.
No desire to.
Yeah. For what?
Okay, in the state of Georgia, can you guys get married at the same time?
I know you cannot. This is why I was saying we would need paperwork as far as legalities are concerned. As far as those things when it goes to inheritances and things like that, that would be consumed inside of a marriage certificate. You may have to have several documents signed to equal that one, just based on what all that one covers. But we're definitely going to be doing all of that. We're going to have a really big marriage ceremony, so some of you guys will be invited out. You haters y'all won't be invited out.
That looks like it for the legit questions because y'all kind of like knock all of these out the park. Like y'all knocking all these questions out the park right now. Like I'm just gonna be honest, like you know what I'm saying, like you know, just to get my perspective. You know, like I said, I've seen a couple of polygamous relationships, and you know, when it was explained to me how it worked, most of them just freely gave me the knowledge. I didn't even ask. You know, I guess they just felt like it was like the elephant in the room, so they just gave me the information. But in any case, they all said how they went into it, and you kind of went into it the same way that they had went into it, and they were kind of like experts on it. So I will say that the way that you guys handled it and the perspective that you came from is how the majority of people that I've dealt with had went into it. So that you know that's reassuring. You know, because at the same time, you know, I know Kevin, I know my brother, and you know, any one of my brothers, you know, I never want to see them in vicarious situations. You know what I'm saying? So I always want to see my brothers win. You know, so I'm saying, because it's hard out here for brothers in 2020, especially in relationships, and the way that the perspective that is being portrayed on Black men and stuff like that. So, you know, my congrats to you and you guys. I'm glad that you're happy. So you see that, family? A lot of y'all had asked me in the comments, "Hey, Kev, why don't you kiss him?" You see, when it's real, I don't have to ask. I don't got to ask him. Come on, man, y'all goofy. You know what I'm saying? It's just you know, it's just reassuring. You know what I'm saying, when you see something like that, because you know, relationships, especially with your bros, is something that sometimes you don't even want to comment on. You see what I'm saying? Depending on how people feel. about the girls and stuff like that. So, I'm happy for the brother. At the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? I wasn't going to attack this man, because of his choices and his relationships and stuff like that. Honestly, I think that's just kind of foolish, where we are right now and what we're dealing with. You know what I'm saying? I think that we could do better as far as our perspective when it comes to that part of the game. You know what I'm saying? That's his personal life. If he chooses to share it, he chooses to share it. But I think that we could do a better job collectively as a people, especially Black people, when it comes to family relationships, unity, and over and understanding somebody's perspective. Because I come from an African uh, spirituality mindset, so I'm no stranger to what polygamy is. I'm no stranger to what it does for family. You know what I'm saying? So it'd be foolish of me to speak on it negatively in any light. We asking all y'all we asking all y'all questions, and if y'all have any more in there, y'all could drop it in there. Now, I do still want to speak on uh, you know some of the people. This other character. I do want to bring that up, so y'all don't say I left that out. Um, that decided to oust you in some way with his perspectives, the one that you used to deal with, Joshua. Um, so let's speak on that a little bit, because he did decide that he wanted to you know come public with some pretty lewd comments about you and stuff like that. So what do you have to say in reference to this guy?
Josh was somebody I worked with for I guess about 2 years. He was the IT guy, kind of behind the thing, and it was a great relationship until he had taken money from me. I was in the hospital, and I got out of the hospital expecting to get the GoFundMe money to purchase tube food, and $1,200 of it was gone, and it wasn't much more than that overall. So that was about all the money. So I didn't have the money to buy the tube food. I'm in a tough position now because I don't know how to go live and tell people, hey, the tube food money was taken, because I'm now thinking they may not trust me. So the agreement was that he would pay me back. And he did after a while. He ended up paying me back after a while. There was a moment there where he felt like he didn't have to pay me back because he had worked with me for a while, which I felt was unfair, because he volunteered to work with me. And if you took money that didn't belong to you, you can't say now you have a right to keeping it. That's just silly. You know what I mean? So I ended up telling someone that he did it. Someone had asked me to share some of their nonprofit stuff, and I said, because of what happened with me and him, I don't really trust to do that. So I don't want to share stuff if I don't know what you're doing with the funding. I said, hey, I've been burned before. And so I said, who burned me? Right. And so they went back to him. He's upset because I told someone he did it, and he sets out to destroy me. He creates these videos that have really no facts to them at all, just edits. And I've since gone back and shown people that he was lying, all this kind of stuff. So he paints this picture that I used a nonprofit called Kevin Wesley Incorporated to fund myself and misuse those funds, when actually I've never used Kevin Wesley Incorporated to fund anything. Everyone knows when they donated to me, it was simply because they wanted to see me healthy again. They believed in what I was doing. I empowered them, or they were just donating to the content that I put up, just as any content creator does. And so if I look through all of my donations, it's simply saying for your health, right? Continue doing what you're doing, bro. You changed my life, bro. And now Josh is saying, hey, he developed this nonprofit and said that he was feeding the poor. And by saying he's feeding the poor, he collected a bunch of donations and then misused those donations, when that has actually never happened. And so for people who are seeing these videos, they're just not very familiar with who I am and my journey. So I guess watching a video, they would believe it and share the video and say, hey, that's an ex-pastor guy, look at what he's doing now. But they put no real work and effort into it. So it's really simple. And you can see it's a lie if you know me, you know what I mean? But the thing about it, man, is people have this ability to just be able to lie, and then people just fall for it. I try to challenge, the people to be free thinkers, to always do research before you come to a conclusion, but that just doesn't always happen, I'd really like for us to be better in that regard, because gaslighting is something real. And we have to make sure that our leaders and the people who have helped us, aided us, inspired us in life, that they're not being gaslighted. We're not just jumping on the boat of someone who's angry with someone. Jamar can tell you firsthand, he's had people who work with him as well. And when they come alongside of you, they seem very, very impacted by you. They seem very intrigued and inspired to want to help you. And so that alone becomes one of the reasons you bring them alongside of you, because they seem so driven to help you and aid you. Thanks. But then you don't realize that with that same intensity that they have when they're happy with you, they'll use that same intensity to destroy you. You know what I mean? When they're not happy with you, or when they don't get from you what they actually want. It's the same as any man telling a woman, hey, let me take you out, no strings attached. But there are strings attached. He does have an agenda or a motive. And Jamal, I'm sure you've made this mistake as well. Like when we make our videos, man, we make our videos and we go on about our business. We do not realize that we are celebrities in the eyes of so many people. We just get on Facebook, make some videos and get on. Get on Instagram, make some videos and get on. However, other people are watching these videos and they're being majorly impacted by what you do. So when they come alongside of you, they're getting to meet Kevin Wesley. They're getting to meet Jamal Milton. And meanwhile, you are saying, great, I got people to come alongside of me. Man, I had just left religion and church fellowship and were looking for friends of like mind. So I was eager to let anybody in, you know what I mean? And didn't really do a lot of sifting to find out who I was dealing with. And as those relationships begin to break down, you realize who you're dealing with. And people who seem to be all for you, they may not actually be all for you. You know, a lot of times people lead with their representatives, not in what they actually want from you.
Charlie Box says, I was a donator for a year and I never got one question answered. So Charlie Box, we're going to get your question answered. All right.
Right. Ask me a question, Charlie. And thank you so much if you have donated to me. I don't know the name. I'm not familiar with it, but if you have donated, I very much appreciate it.
Put that in.
I imagine you donated because you were already inspired.
And I'm gonna tell you something, Charlie. You know, just from my experience, you know, I've had many people in my inbox, you know, and they ask different questions and stuff like that. And sometimes, you know, with all the different people, you got to keep in mind it's 24 hours in the day, and when you have over 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 into the tunes of 50,000 people, you're not the only one in the inbox, and there's no way that a person can give you the right amount of time. You know, depending upon the in-depth question that you may ask, that you may want sometimes, you know, and it's not by somebody's heart. Don't charge it to their heart. You know, sometimes you could be in the middle of something and you just don't get back to the question. You don't even realize it. And before you know it, you got 400 more in your inbox, you know, and you don't even realize that you didn't answer that one question, you know. Yeah. And it's taxing when you're answering these questions too. You know, I've had individuals that was on the verge of committing suicide. Absolutely. You know, and they in my inbox. And you know, some of them I catch, some of them I don't. You know,
some of them Jamal has never donated, and you spent countless hours with them because it wasn't about a donation; it was about that need, or just you having the opportunity to be able to catch their message. My platform is over 400,000, and I try to tell people often. They say, "Hey, I want to talk to you, man. Is there any way I can get an hour of your time?" Jamal, when I tell these people that it's one of me, it's many of you guys. So in order for me to be able to do that, y'all gotta accommodate before my time. If you enjoy my rhetoric, right? If you enjoy my thought talk sessions and you want more time with me, you have to understand I can't divvy my time up because time isn't eternal for me. I got 24 hours just like everyone else, and 8 of those hours, like you said, Jamal, I have to sleep and I have time. I have to prep. I have to create other content because there's a lot of people out here that I'm trying to reach, but people want you to have that conversation with them. They don't understand that if they want that conversation with you, it comes with a sacrifice. You have to pay. I mean, it's just with any psychiatrist, any psychologist that you go to. If you believe that speaking to that person is going to help you reach another level and you don't have a seat already in hand, you are the problem, not them. And many times they'll get upset with you, Jamal, because you're telling them, hey, you have to accommodate me for my time. If it's valuable to me. Now, it may not be valuable to you.
Right.
So if you're just going around inboxing random people on Facebook, asking them to pour into you, and you're not willing and prepared to accommodate them for it, you actually may be the problem. It actually may not be them.
Right. Absolutely. So definitely, Queen Charlie, put your question, if you have a question, put it in the inbox, or hit us up afterwards, and we'll make sure that we get your question answered. Because I do some people, they just have the wrong impression about, once they donate, you know what I'm saying? And we don't want to feel negatively about everybody who donates, but there are some, who feel like almost like they're buying you. You know what I'm saying? And you got to take it from the perspective of, the public figures who have these large platforms. It's very, very hard. It's very taxing on time and energy to answer everyone's questions, and we do the best that we can. I know that firsthand.
There is no notification to, like, if somebody sends you something in your DM, it doesn't pop up, oh, this is such and such, they donated this much money. You know what I mean? It's just a DM. You know what I mean? It still shows up like a regular DM. So to the person that made a donation, they feel like they should be priority getting a response. But on our end, it's a regular DM. It doesn't say that you donated X amount of dollars and you've been a fan for this long. We don't get your profile as to how long you've been following us, or, you know what I mean, to better maybe gauge. You just have to, in a sense, choose your battles, or choose, you know what I mean, try your best to choose wisely. And sometimes it's the right decision and sometimes it's not. But we can't see what you've contributed when you DM.
Right. Absolutely. Somebody said, how much do you charge to talk? Nobody charges anything. A donation is exactly what it is. It's a donation. It's you saying, you know what, I respect your time enough to invest in you, because you know what, you could have been going and getting a bag. Okay, like, I'm just going to keep it all the way 100 with y'all. Like, the amount, if you knew the amount of money that I can make in an hour, you probably say, Jamar Milton, what are you doing with your life?
Right. Absolutely.
Why are you wasting your time with these people? You understand? If I showed you my paychecks and what I can make in that hour. So when I take that time to type something, to answer y'all questions, or to, help empower your life. When Kevin takes his time, an hour, sometimes 2 hours, y'all want to call, y'all want to talk, and you got 400 more on the line, 4,000 more on the line. When we take that time to invest in you and your spirit and your soul, it's only right that you understand what we could be doing. If you just look at our Instagram stories and our Facebook stories, you see our life is action packed. Like, we're not just sitting around doing nothing. You see what I'm saying? Y'all want that. Y'all want him to work on his book. Y'all want him to answer questions. You want albums. You want pictures taken and selfies and knowledge drop. Like, I mean, come on, family.
And the thing about Jamar, they want all this for free. That's the thing about it. They don't realize that it can't work like that. It can't. And again, it comes with that, I don't want to plant a seed, but I want to harvest type thing. If you care enough to come ask me a question, that must mean you value my opinion. Right. So if you don't have something valuable for my answer already in hand, you should really question yourself. I wouldn't go to you, Jamar, and ask you a question and expect you to respond to me and not have something prepared for you to take your time out, because I believe that question is going to speed up my life. We have myself, like Lacey, Jamar, myself, we study a lot. We put a lot of time in here. Facts. We could speed your life up by years with a conversation, and you don't think that's worth a couple dollars. And that's really the problem, that you go to a psychiatrist and pay them several hundreds of dollars an hour to go into your brain and tell you what's wrong with you. But then someone like us, who is equally empowering you, you don't want to do that. You just want us to give it to you. And I think it's because we're Black. I don't know. I think it's this idea that anything we do, we must give even before we have it to give back. Like Nino Brown used to give back because he had already made money off the community, right? They're asking you to give before you even get it. You know what I mean? Like, and that's one of the things I see too, Jamar. People see your platform and they see us go through these amazing level ups, right? Where we'll come in contact with different celebrities and different people who support what we do. Major events where so many people come out to see us. And when you see this stuff posted online, it almost makes it look like we've blown up, that our lifestyle, this celebrity lifestyle, is translated also in the form of money. So a lot of the people that work with you, when they see you like that, they think you ran off and left them. They think that you blew up, leveled up, and did not help them and give back, when really you might even be still struggling. You know what I mean? In your mind, you're still hoping one day that it translates over to monetary, because I was a celebrity long before the dollars even came close to equaling it. You know what I mean? My celebrity still outweighs my financial background, my bank account. You know what I mean? Like millions of people know me, and you think that that's supposed to equal dollars, but it just doesn't, guys. Likes and comments don't pay you. In case you guys didn't know.
Yeah,
you
you don't get paid for that.
Right.
Yeah, it's it's a lot.
If you had $1 for every time somebody knew your name, then that'd be different.
And the thing is, like when we giving y'all this information, like we invested our own time and our own money into the books, to the research, to the conversations, and things of that nature. And we don't ever want to, just say just anything to y'all. We want to say something that's going to empower you, to the point where you'll be able to level up. Because if you don't, guess who you're going to blame? Right? You're going to say, Jamal told me this, Kev told me this, and it didn't work. You see what I'm saying? So we have to be very, very careful, what we say to the people. So that means we got to be taking care of ourselves, right? We can't, if we're not taking care of ourselves and ourselves aren't being taken care of, how can we then pour out into you? You see what I'm saying? And we have our own relationship, our own relationships. We both have a woman, we both have women and children, right? And I have 6 children. You see what I'm saying? You don't think that time could be spent with my babies? Like right before, we got on the street, that saw me with my baby. You know what I'm saying? I came home, that's why I was late. I had to rush home, from trying to get my bag so that y'all can hear about Kevin Wesley's relationship. You see what I'm saying? Because y'all want to know about his relationship. You see what I'm saying? And I have to kiss my baby, pass him back off to the wife, and serve y'all. You see what I'm saying? So, and then people be like, well, why should I have to give him any money? Well, you interrupt me from going to get my bag.
Right. Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? So, that's why. So, it's just being real with y'all. And guess what? Every celebrity that you meet is going through the same thing. Nobody wants to be famous. We rather just take the bag, to be honest. We'd rather just take the bag. You know what I'm saying? Like nobody wants to be famous. Nobody wants people knocking down your door. You go out on vacation and somebody saying, "Hey, that's such and such." Boom, boom, boom.
Everywhere we go,
go to the bathroom. Everywhere we go. Like nobody's looking for fame, and a lot of people be saying like, you're just looking for fame. And like no, nobody's looking for that. Nobody wants that. Nobody famous would tell you that that's what they're looking for. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day, all we want to do is support our families and be good to the people. You know what I'm saying? And have a name, that's spoken of after we're gone. Hopefully in a positive way. And break generational curses, like all of that. You see what I'm saying? So, that's one thing that I wanted to address. Because we did say we was not only going to talk about polygamy, but we were going to talk about just leadership and the expectations, of our Black leaders, and their families, because we have to tend to our families. If we neglect our families and then we break up, then you're gonna say, "Hey, see, I told you, see, right?" And you're gonna start doing it. So like, you know what I mean? Like, y'all really gotta be real. You know what I'm saying?
And honestly, Jamal, you could go into a lot of the households of a lot of these leaders, whether they subscribe to religion a lot or not, whether that be Christian, Islam, or free think or whatever. A lot of times they do have problems in their home because that leader in that home, whether it be the female or the male, goes so hard for their followers or for the people that are yearning for their content or rhetoric, that they do kind of neglect the children and the wives or the spouse inside the home.
Yes,
that becomes the actual breakdown of the relationship because they gave too much of their time to outside people and not inside of your home.
That's right.
It's a real thing, man, and people really don't grasp it. And I really wish we could, because we're able to do this in all other aspects where we're entertained.
Yes.
We can sit on the toilet, man, and we'll give $15-20 to Candy Crush and Angry Birds, right?
Yeah.
Just to play a game a little longer, reach another board. But someone can come along and give you something that is life-changing, that literally what that person said changed your freaking life.
Say that.
And as soon as they say, if you're empowered by what I have said, hey, donate a little something, all of a sudden, you're a master manipulating ex-pastor, cheating people out of their money. Like, what? Like, you sitting on this live for this whole 2-3 hours being empowered by me. As soon as I ask for $1, you complain. Well, then get off my live. You see what I'm saying? You should have never came here. This place isn't for you then.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? If Jamal, if we had the ability to not let those people on our lives, we probably would. Like, people who soak up your energy. You see them, Jamal, as soon as you get off live, they're quoting you. Quoting you now. Like they said it. They didn't give you credit for it. but they never donated a single dime to your betterment. You see what I'm saying? Unbelievable. But then they want to criticize what you post on your Facebook. Some people just, man, they just have no heart, bro. They just don't.
Chill.
Facts. It's wild.
You sitting there scratching your head man.
Like, yo, ain't you the same one that was saying, like, yo, oh, there you go, Miss Pastor. They start saying, oh, they go to Pastor.
Like last week, I changed your life. Today, I'm going to the next pastor. Like,
but now you taking my slogans, you using my whole catchphrases, everything, my hashtag. Right. Some of y'all might even take my pictures and my emojis and my memes and don't give me no credit. You see what I'm saying? You know what I mean? You got to pull up on some of them. Like, what you doing? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Jamal, and look, then they'll ask you, what have you done for the community? Like, I inspired your black ass. What you mean?
Come on. Like, you gotta eat, bro.
I have people who I have taken under my wing, taught how to run their own podcast show, create their own clothing lines. And these same people will look me in my face and say, what have I done for the community? Like, dude, like, if anything, my life coaching, you could give me a review, because now look at you. You're selling shirts, you got your own little podcast. And these are people who I've worked with, Jamal, coming into my life. They had none of these things, had no idea what these things, what it entailed to even have these things. Now here they are, sending people their shirts, doing their own thought talks, doing their own events, asking me, what have I done? I made you. I poured into you to help you reach this level. Everything you're doing, you learn from me, and you're asking me what I done. Your platform is my responsibility. You see what I'm saying? Every time you go live, you should be thanking Kevin, because a lot of these people, Jamal, you know that you brought them on your platform and helped them to build it. And even before they went live, they calling you, asking you for questions and how they should go about their life, how they should respond to certain things. And you're coaching them this whole time to be a better person. And then they stand and ask you, what have you done for the community? As if the only thing you can do for the community is pass out food. And we hear this saying all the time. Many people attribute it to being in the Bible. It is not in the Bible, but if you give a man a fish, he'll only eat for a day. But if you teach that man to fish, he will never go hungry, or he will eat for a lifetime. And so many times we think that the answer to fixing the world is giving a man a fish, but the parable teaches us that they'll only eat for a day, right? So the greatness is in teaching someone how to be able to fish, how to be able to navigate their lives so they're not still standing there on the corner with their hands out. Right. That is the genius behind truly giving. You know what I mean? But so many times they'll say, well, I never saw you out here on the streets feeding people. Well, maybe I never had the financial ability to, but here's what I have done: changed millions of people's lives through giving of my time and energy via lives. Via thought talks, via going and meeting people, and those one-on-one conversations you have with people that you never even met in your life. Right. That's what you've done for the community. Why is that not good enough? Like, what is the problem with that? Especially when you haven't had the ability to put your boots on the ground, so to speak. Man, I would watch you, Jamal, while I was on bed rest, literally, man, feeling a little bit of jealousy, because you actually had the energy to be out here doing those things you wanted to do, and here I was on bed rest and couldn't do those things. You know what I mean? So, but I lived through you. I would be so happy to see you out here doing it, knowing that we started off alongside each other. You know what I mean? So it's a beautiful thing. But a lot of times people begin to ask those type of questions of you before you get time to even show what you can do for the community, to show how impactful you can be to the community. Right. And I definitely can relate to that part of the game. Like I said, I mean, you was coming out there, you didn't have to. You were sick. So some people thought you was on your deathbed. Absolutely. You know, so, you know, ladies, has there ever been a time where, you know, you felt like Kevin is giving too much to the public, too much to the people? This is probably a good question for Jamie. She's been around for that.
I'd say no. I felt as though that's what he's called to do. And so I'm like, I know he's very impactful. I've witnessed it. I knew it since when I met him. He was very impactful from when we were kids. So I know that is what he's supposed to be doing. So I wouldn't hold him back. And I didn't think he was doing it too much. I saw the passion. So it's like, why would I hold that back? Why would I think anything less? Like, that's what he's called to do. Go do it.
That's major key. Major key. I mean, I don't know, family. Those of y'all in the feed, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of hard to to find anything on brother Kevin Wesley. Y'all might have to work a little bit harder. Because you know, I'm a good reader of energy. I'm a good discerner of spirits, and you know, it seems pretty genuine to me. Like, just so y'all know, none of this is rehearsed. None of my podcasts are rehearsed. You know, I could show you the receipts of the text messages where I told him, no, we do everything organic. You know, he asked me, was there going to be any questions? I said, we're going to do everything organic. And I left it at that. You see what I'm saying? That's how we do it. We've been doing it like this. And this is how we're going to continue to do this podcast. We're going to continue to keep it organic because I think it comes off way more authentic. And, you know,
to this day,
I think Kevin Wesley is a prime example of what it looks like. You know, you're just being honest and being one with yourself. You know, at the end of the day, you know, like I said, I wish y'all the best. I think y'all making this look good. In my opinion, from what I see, you know, I've been watching. I can't comment because of my following, you know, and stuff like that. So I let it do what it does and germinate organically. You know, but I'd be lying if I said people wasn't in my inbox like, yeah, what's going on? And I was like, whoa, let me fall back a little bit. It's getting crazy. I don't know. You know, but at the end of the day, you know, as long as y'all happy, you know, Kevin seems like he's happy. He's very, very healthy from what I see visually as well. So that's a good thing, and y'all seem very happy as well. You seem like yourselves, like you're not putting on a show. So, you know, at the end of the day, I wish y'all the best, you know, especially with Black families, with children, stuff like that. So absolutely. And is there anything else that you want to put out there? I think you said you had something going on.
Yeah, for this month, guys, if you out in the Atlanta area, let me know. I am going to be doing like a little birthday bash out there. It'll probably be the Sunday after August 26th. 26th is my birthday. Shout out to all the Virgos, you know what I mean? So, but I will be having like a little birthday bash. It's probably going to be in Suwanee, Georgia, but just let me know if you guys are out there, and I will be posting about it here this week coming. So, yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, man, listen, Jamal, thank you for having us on. Like I said, man, listen, you guys, if you're not following Jamal, checking out this Tap In podcast, man, I don't know what's wrong with you. I feel like we did have an amazing build. I do want to ask, I see now just from my page alone, we kept it around like 300-400 the entire time. I don't know what it looked like for you on your end, but what the numbers look like, man.
Oh man, I mean, we was at 400 for over 400 at one point. This is the biggest attendance that we've had on the podcast ever.
Rise with the rise.
So, move over, Shaka Amos. Kevin Wesley just took the title for the most people on the Tap In podcast.
Shaka Amos, man. Listen, we wanted to manifest that for you. We said, man, we're gonna come on this podcast and we want to be able to bring him his largest audience, man, and hopefully most of those audience will stick with you. Check out your next shows, man, because I was showing them before we even went live with you today, some of the clips from your other shows that you have on Instagram, and they just got even more intrigued and excited about being on, man. Jamal, you make a really good host, bro. I didn't know you had it in you like that. I like your setup.
Wow, bro. I appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? I learned a lot by watching my brother Kevin Wesley too, because he's kind of dope. You know what I'm saying?
Thank you, brother.
For real. Nah, I mean, at the end of the day, you're a great communicator, and it shows. You know what I'm saying? It shows in your relationships too. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing that you always did very, very well. You're very, very good at communicating. So, you know, I appreciate the love. I appreciate you for coming on the show. It's always been love with you, bro.
Yes, sir.
You know, you've never done me dirty. You see what I'm saying? At the end of the day. So I appreciate that, man. You know,
yes, sir.
For real. So,
yes, sir.
Thanks for coming on the show. And what should we go out with? What song should we get? Oh, you know what I'm gonna give y'all? I will give y'all that. I give y'all that Shaman. That Shaman just went over 30,000 streams. So shout out to everybody that's streaming that Jamal Milton record. That's my most. We doing records today since Kevin Wesley broke the record. So we're gonna drop the Shaman, my most streamed record. Due to everybody that came on the feed today. I'll give y'all a couple of moments to to say how y'all feel. Those who, if you didn't get your question answered on the second half of the show, is because you probably missed the first half and it was already answered. So run it back. We had the brother Kevin Wesley on the show today. He did a good job. When you say,
like a shaman, all in my head, so much in common. Just say that if this ain't love, then I don't want it. Move my body like a shaman, all in my head, so much in common. Just say that word, baby, I'm on it. If this ain't love, then I don't. See, I've been looking for a while, one who compliments my style, and who's pheromone so irresistible, it drives me wild. She ain't got no time to play.
It's that Shaman on all streaming platforms. Make sure y'all go cop that, run it up.
Compatible with no vibrations, nothing like the rest. No, I don't know nobody. When you get down, just want you to be around. Come close to me, baby. She move her body like a shaman. All in my head, so much in common. Just say that word, baby, I'm on you. Say love, then I don't want it. She move her body like a shaman. All in my head, so much in common. Just say that word, baby, I'm on it. Just say love, then I don't. I just wanna see you smile. Keep my number on the dial. I anticipate and cannot wait until you come around. Cause I just wanna take you home. Sit a deal and set in stone. You should never be alone. You with me, with me, with me. I don't know nobody. When you get down, just want you to be around. Come close to me, baby. She move her body like a shaman. All in my head, so much in common. Just say the word, baby, I'm on you. Just say love, then I don't want it. She move her body like a shaman. All in my head, so much in common. Just say the word, baby, I'm on it. Just say love, then I don't want it.